It's time for Type 40, your live stream Doctor Who show. The live stream Doctor Who magazine show materializing again here on YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. Whichever platform, time stream, or time zone you're joining us from, a big old welcome. Here we are again, Type 40 Lives, where we talk about the world's longest running, best loved sci-fi and fantasy TV series and the whole Whoniverse around it, both on and off screen, in this 60th anniversary year of the series itself, as we close in on that all-important, all-new era. Getting closer, aren't we? No time to let up with this coverage of the imminent 60th anniversary of Doctor Who here on Type 40, with stories breaking at an increasing rate and excitement absolutely building since the premiere of that full trailer less than a week ago. We'll talk about as much as we can from all corners of the vortex here in our console room, as always, and as ever, in front of a live chat full of friends, fans, and companions just like you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks, and we'll find out who you are in a moment or two. As always, settle down, won't be long. I promise. We've got people to bring on. We've got old friends to catch up with and a hell of a lot to talk about. I'm not joking. There are stories breaking. Even as we're putting this all together, it's a very exciting time, getting better, I think, by the week. And I can't wait to get started on it all. So we're going to bring them all in. Please like the video now, subscribe to the channel, check you're still subscribed, and hit the cloister bell to get all the notifications about what's going on next and when. With Type 40 Live going twice a week, certainly for the time being, we're getting as much out to you as we possibly can, and just giving you our views, outtakes, and inviting you to comment on it, as always, here on YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. So get cracking with that. If you're on Facebook, of course, in the Type 40 Facebook group, everybody there, hey, you've got to remember, hit that little blue link. Of course you have. Facebook picks up who you are, transmits your details to us here on StreamYard, and StreamYard tells us, of course, in the Type 40 console room, we all get on first name terms, just like I'm about to with this bunch of time agents. First of all, we've got, I think he's been for a haircut. He's certainly looking very fresh indeed, fresh and trim. The intro is getting worse, Simon. I'm sorry.
I wondered who you were going to introduce then. I've actually been for a haircut. Well spotted. It's got to be done. I don't know how I managed to fit it in, but I managed to fit it in. Anyway, hello everybody. Nice to be back. I missed last week, so good to be back with you again.
Oh, cheers. Yeah, it's all been kicking off, mate. We were all over the Who spy pictures last week, all these little images that they've been creeping out from the set at Bad Wolf, all on social media. Are you aware of all that? Have you been following that?
Of course I haven't been. You know I haven't been. I've got far more interesting things to do than follow Bad Wolf on social media.
I throw them your way, you knock them out the park.
Bada bing.
Yeah. That's how we like it on Type 40 Live. And I'm happy to say as well, we've also got, she's back to Sarah Graham, starry-eyed girl Sarah Graham, I should say. Hello, Sarah.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, so I was proper laughing then. That was a brilliant...
Couldn't help myself.
Yes, it's hello, Dan. Hello, so it's lovely to have you back, Simon. Yeah,
thank you very much. Lovely to be back, Sarah. Thank you.
And hello, everybody. Yes, here again. Twice in 1 week.
Sarah,
so much to talk about.
Sarah, it's lovely to see you. Of course it is, but I have to ask, what's with the decapitated teddy bear over your shoulder? What's that? That's just sick.
It's not. It's just covered up by my Romanas.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, I'll move that. I'll put Romana there, shall I?
I thought he'd been on the naughty step.
No, I'm not that. It's not Halloween yet. I know it is for Wendology, but it isn't in this house yet.
Every day is Halloween day for the Department of Wendology, I think.
Quite right. Yeah.
Good stuff. And yeah, we've got more people to bring on too. She's waiting patiently. It's our Charlotte Shields. She's back as well.
Hello, Charlotte.
Hello. I haven't got anything fun like usual behind me, so you can't make jokes about it.
You look. It looks like it's a backdrop. It looks like it's just waiting to have a TARDIS console room beamed in there or something like that.
Or one of the dinosaurs from Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
Yeah. I've got a green screen, but not quite yet.
That'd be good. Yeah. Or Drashig doing that. Yeah. Go for that. Yeah. So some ideas for next week. How are you this week?
I've got a fun day tomorrow at work. I'll just say that. So I'm having fun tonight in prep for being very bored tomorrow.
We'll take your mind off it with a run around the console here as always. And Simon, you're dressed to match the console room this nice
I am, aren't I? Look at that. How did I manage to do that? I always last time I wore pink, and you were talking about Barbie. It's like we actually plan these things, Dan.
It's the Time Lord Mind Link. And I'm happy to say we can mind link with two others as well. Two more people due to come on. Firstly, back again. We can't keep this guy away. He's got his feet well under the console now, hasn't he? Jack from the Nerd Den. Welcome back, Jack.
Hello, lovely to be back with you all and talk about that show we love.
Yeah. I never get tired. I never get tired of it. Hours and hours of it every week. Do you find yourself? Have you got people in your day-to-day life? You've got a couple of real best mates who are into Doctor Who as well, or a sibling, or something like that?
To be honest, not anymore, because the hype for a lot of people in my life went down with the last era. But I have been throwing the trailers at them, and they're like, "Okay, I might watch it." So hopefully, I can have more people in my life.
Expand.
You got us, Jack. Who needs anyone? You've got everybody in the chat.
There's plenty of room in here. And speaking of room, shuffle up everybody, because he's back. It's our friend as ever. He's a screenwriter and a director, and multi-award winning in both camps too. He's been abroad, he's been in the States, and he's come back triumphant, bringing home was it bronze or silver, or was it glass? I don't know. We'll find out when we bring him on. David Diaz, welcome back.
Hello.
Yay!
We're graced with your presence. You're still talking to us then?
Yes.
I got mine.
Let's be honest.
I haven't even opened it yet, though. That's the thing, and it's a bit damaged. I was really annoyed because the edges, it's like somebody slammed it on the floor or something.
Well, just make a complaint. Ask for a replacement.
Yeah, but have I got time to do that? Because my life's so busy. It's ridiculous. But I can't wait to see the 5 Doctors on this. I really can't wait to see it. And I've really been so busy. I haven't even opened it yet, but I will open it.
But the thing I want to know, is, can you actually watch the 5 Doctors before November? Because I just couldn't watch the 5. It would feel wrong watching the 5 Doctors at any time of the year apart from November. I can't help it. It just would.
No, I can, because I love the 5 Doctors. I think 5 Doctors is the best of the anniversary specials. It really is fantastic. I mean, it's a shame they didn't pour as much money into that 5 Doctors than they did, obviously, with the last one. But I just love the 5 Doctors, and I just can't wait to see it, because it's got new special effects and everything. So there you go. I digress. Go on.
You know what? I think you've got a point, though, Simon. There are some Doctor Who stories that just beg to be watched at certain times of year. I certainly feel that way about the 5 Doctors.
I mean, again, An Unearthly Child is one of those. I could never watch An Unearthly Child at any time of the year apart from November. It just wouldn't feel right. I don't know. I just can't help it.
You're super Doctor Who geek, aren't you?
No, I'm just
super duper.
Not, Ian, I'm just
We're super Doctor Who geeks. Who'd have thought that, Sarah? News just
super duper.
Double super.
Exactly.
Enough of this nonsense. Calm down, everybody. Calm down. So obviously, a couple of us, we were here. We positively dismembered the brand new Doctor Who trailer here on the show a few days ago. Now, myself, Jack, Charlotte, and Sarah, we got really stuck into it. But of course, Simon and Ian, you weren't here, were you?
You're very violent today, Dan. Your palpitations and now dismembering. Are you all right?
I don't know what it is. Maybe there's something in my drink. I don't know.
It's Halloween. It's Halloween that's on the way. That's what it is.
That's right.
It could be as simple as that. It really could. Yeah. So, basically, Ian, last Saturday, I know you were busy on the stage accepting your gongs, but the rest of us, we were being put out of our misery after all these months with this proper, full-bodied 2.5-minute trailer for the anniversary specials. It premiered on BBC One, and you know what it's like. Minutes later, it was all over the official social media platforms, and we covered it extensively. But there's always room for more opinions. So, give us your take. Have you seen it? What do you think?
I have seen it, and it looks okay. It looks good, but obviously, Russell T's gone back to the well, hasn't he? He's gone back to his
Very much
version
so.
of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
And, and I look forward to it because it looks like a lot of fun. I just hope it isn't bogged down with obviously the message, and hope that it's just a really good ride and we have fun watching it, and and just thank God David Tennant is back. We know why he's back, obviously. Obviously I don't want to talk about why he's back. So, but I look forward to it. The trailer looks okay. I wish they didn't show us the trailer before, because it was kind of a rehash of what they've shown us before, wasn't it? Let's face it.
Yeah, it
with
was.
Little bits stuck in there with explosions and stuff like that. But I got to admit though, David Tennant does look his age now. I don't know what you think, Simon, but I think he looks his age now, and it's just weird. But yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it. Put it that way.
Well, did it thrill you? I mean, how did you watch it? Did you get it up on your smartphone, or did you catch it?
No, I was in the States, and
show off.
I saw it on because I sent a picture to you, didn't I, Dan? There's a Doctor Who channel on Roku.
Oh yeah,
and they showed it on that. So I was like, oh God, it's a Doctor Who channel. And I turned over, and guess what was showing? Bloody freaking Sylvester McCoy. I'm like, God, you're the worst Doctor. The worst. I was just hoping it would be a Peter Davison one or Tom Baker, but it was like, yeah, anyway. But they did show the trailer, and I saw it, and I thought, you know what? It looks good. I'm definitely going to sit up and watch this. So here's hoping, it's thrilling, and we're at the edge of our seats, and and it's going to be sad to see him go again. But
you just assume we'll be back eventually. I think that's how it works.
Exactly.
Isn't it, Jack?
Exactly. Yeah.
Sooner or later, David Tennant will be back as Doctor Who. I think we've all got to accept that. And sooner or later, we know that Shah from Geek Rambles, our Shah, will be on the show. And I believe has she stabilised as much as she ever will? I think so. Stable-ish? No. Oh no, she's sort of shimmering a little bit like Tom Baker was on that screen in the Five Doctors. So give her a little bit of a time to ripple back into her constituent parts. She's making a hand signal at me. Don't know what it means. Is it
that one?
Yeah, I've seen it before a few times, but I can't quite come back to that. So yes, Simon. Obviously, you've heard Ian there waxing lyrical. Have you caught the trailer in all seriousness? I know you're not great with social media, but you must have seen this 2.5-minute trailer for Doctor Who.
Yeah, I did see it. I didn't watch it go out live. I didn't know it was going out live. I think I'd sort of vaguely heard about it, but I've forgotten about it. I'm afraid that these days, new Doctor Who is just way off my radar. I kind of hear about it a few days later. So I finally got to see it. And I mean, the good news is I thought it looked absolutely fantastic.
Wow.
The bad news is, am I excited about it? No, I'm not. I'm sorry, everybody. The problem I've got here is two things. Firstly, I like I say, Doctor Who's just off my radar. I've fallen out of love with current Who. I need to fall back in love with it, so maybe I will. But I'm definitely out of love with it at the moment. So I just don't care. I just don't care.
Throw your hands in the air. Sorry,
but the main reason I have a problem with this is I know that Ian has just said, thank God David Tennant's back. I've said about this before. What bothers me, just watching that trailer, I could have been watching a trailer for Doctor Who 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm just like, this is not what I signed up for. I didn't sign up for a program that has stagnated and just feels so I couldn't. There's nothing necessarily wrong with this. Please don't get me wrong. For people that are excited to have David Tennant back and they might be cracking, this is all good. But what I am saying is I can't get excited for something that just feels like I've seen it all before many, many times. I've been there. I've done it. I've bought the T-shirt several times. I just can't get excited about it. But I will be watching it, and hopefully it will blow my socks off. But a 2-minute trailer for stuff that I've seen before, and we know what the Neil Patrick Harris is playing the toy maker. We know the Beat the Meep is in it. So it's just all been there, done it, seen it. Bring it on, and I'll have a look at it.
I said during our deep dive review of this that this clearly seemed to me like what we should have got at Comic-Con a couple of months ago. It all seems like we're getting it. It's lovely to see it, and I thought it was absolutely sensational. I was riveted to every second, but I was very conscious of the fact it does feel like it's, I would say it's too little too late. It's very much just in the nick of time, I think. But it's good to have everybody's views and to see what everybody thinks. And is she coming? I don't know. I'm waiting for a hand signal, the right one this time. If Shah materialises, she materialises. Anyway,
this feels a little bit like the scene from the Star Trek: The Motion Picture when they're trying to beam in the first people on the transport.
Oh yeah,
Can you get a signal?
They just disperse and they're gone.
They're dead. They died.
Yes, so you've heard what we've got to say about the trailer. Should we go and see what they've got to say in the live chat? Because people are watching us on YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook and leaving their comments too. I think it's high time that we checked in with our companions there in the live chat and gave some greetings and see what they've got to say about all of our nonsense here.
Hi guys, and welcome to Type 40.
I love those two. Yes, here we are again, Type 40 Live with more of the same, just going that little bit more every single week as the anniversary gets closer. We have lots of thanks for all the messages, everybody. Love it. And first on the clock was, let's find out who was here first. It was the time scales from San Francisco. Good morning, San Francisco. And to
Good morning.
Greetings
can't quite work out what they're meant to be. Paul Flint's into. Hi all. Hi, Paul. Paul Flint. Is that your name? Anybody recognise the name?
No.
In like Flint.
I'm just intrigued by the little...
It's a movie, isn't it, Ian? Ahoy shipmates from Crimpling Doubloon. Simon, all is right. All is right in the time-space continuum, as long as we get that. Retro Doc's here too. Gary Akers with a hello. Everybody. Same with Peter Harrington. Good evening.
Oh, now I like that photo. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Simon Ashley says, evening all. Yes, he must be a copper, hadn't he, to keep coming out with that stuff.
He just likes sticks and a dot green. Maybe he just likes sticks and a dot green, you know? So
it could be. Could be, yeah. Answers, please. Yeah, let us know, Simon. Yeah, by all means, let us know. Gary Browser's here too. Are we properly counting down now? Mate, we've been counting down all year. That's why we're all so bloody exhausted and frustrated. Heavens above.
Ben Casey's in things now, finally, so we can do it a bit more.
It's almost like we've dreamt it, Charlotte. Did you really get a training the other day? I don't know. Maybe we didn't. Maybe
that
this
actual news breaking? Yes.
It seems strange, doesn't it? Seems strange. Hi there, everyone from Ben Casey.
Hello.
And greetings and felicitations, Jack, from our mate Darren M.
Hello, Darren.
Hey, Darren.
How you doing?
What is a felicitation, Jack? Have you got any ideas? What is that?
I am the wrong person to ask.
it's a greeting,
I have to
isn't
Google
it?
it, to be honest.
I don't know what felicitation means. I have no idea.
Me neither. At least he's honest. Tony's in as well. Good evening, everyone.
Hi,
from
Tony.
Hello.
Find that comb, Tony. Find the comb. Find the comb.
Yeah. Find the comb and find the Shah. I think she's ready. Is she ready? Yes, she is.
Beam her up.
Energize. She's always energized.
Yeah, thanks. No, I'm not dead, Ian, actually. I'm very much alive and well. Thank you. Nice to see you again. How are you? You missed me? Have you missed me?
What?
Ian, have you missed me?
Oh, of course. I've missed you like, a hole in the head. Not really. Yeah, definitely.
It's fine. I'll expose him with all the messages he was sending me. It's all good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm hiding for me. Hi, everyone. How you doing?
You speak in black and white there?
I look like I'm ready for a job interview, don't I?
Does.
What job would I be going for?
A dinner party, a 70s dinner party, maybe.
Do you know what? I'll take that, Simon. That'll go. Yeah. Next time you have a 70s dinner party, I know what I'm wearing.
Black dress here, don't forget.
I was waiting for that.
the tiny Time Lord. That's our friend Cooper there.
Hello, Tiny Time Lord.
Hi.
Ezra's in too. With an R.I.P. Michael, the late Michael Gambon. We pay tribute to Michael at the top of the show there, and we know a lot of people probably will have grown up with him, won't they, Shah, as Dumbledore in the Harry Potter films?
Yeah, I was certainly I was one of them. Yeah,
Same
so
here.
it was we're the same age, aren't we? So yeah, that's exactly what I grew up with, and then of course the only other place I know him is from Doctor Who. So yeah, sad news, but ripe old age, so fair.
Well, I'm an old
Very
fart because I
good.
remember him from loads of different films other than Harry Potter and Doctor Who. So that's just me, old fart. There you go.
I love how none of us argued with that either. Sorry.
Yeah, but you're our old party, and that's what
I know.
matters.
Yeah,
We love
exactly.
you.
Exactly.
Time
Lucky
Lord
the wind
2023
ain't
is in.
going your way. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, Dan. Go on.
That's okay. Time Lord 2023 is in. And obviously, pleased to see Simon there. Gary Browse.
Nice to see you too, Time Lord 2023.
Where's ours?
Hey.
Fanboy as well, back with a hello or I think they're coming bit by bit. We have an Alonzi. Alonzi, it's
Alonzi.
related to Fonzie. It's from the Happy
Yeah.
The French Fonzie, yeah.
Yeah. Evening all, says Woodhouse 122.
Hello.
With the copper on the beat. Sadako 24 with a high all. Yes, there's lots of this kind of thing. And it's lovely to see. It really is. Hello again, Simon from Cooper there.
Again, Cooper, man, come on.
It's
It's fine. It's
Good on,
fine.
Ezra.
Favourite is in this panel, don't we?
I know.
It's because I've been away for a while.
I know.
I know.
Lovely.
I've missed you too.
We are.
And the Darren Zone offers greetings to the Spacebook family on this dark, dank, autumnal Thursday eve. It is, isn't it? It is very much. It's getting to that time of year, Simon, where you're going to be able to crunch the leaves underfoot and all that kind of stuff.
And it's Doctor Who time. It just feels.
It
is Doctor Who
It just
time. in
feels
the autumn.
right. It just feels right, doesn't it?
But Sadako 24 actually was saying that they'd watched An Unearthly Child in spring and summer. I just can't do it, Sadako 24. How do you do that?
You can watch it anytime. Come on.
Sinex says good evening all. And Carol
Hello,
Jude
Simon.
says hello all. Hi Carol, good to
Hi,
see you.
Carol.
I suspect she had a good time with that trailer as well. Psychic Speaks
Oh, I
says,
bet she did.
Psychic Speaks says I usually work on Thursday evenings now, but it's nice to be here for this one. Well, it's nice. It's nice to have your company as well there. And Vanessa Law's in too, and she says, "Hey all, I dropped the keyboard."
Vanessa, hello.
We've all been there, Vanessa.
well
I
typed
picked it
though,
up again.
Vanessa, considering you
It
dropped the
was.
keyboard.
So keep the comments coming, everybody. Now you've heard our views on the trailer there, and Simon's not that into David Tennant coming back. Ian seems quite pumped for it all by
Not
Ian's
that
standards. Of course, I'd love to be able to play the trailer on this show, Ian. I really, really would, but I can't because it's the BBC trailer, and we get a copyright strike.
You can show pictures though, can't you, Dan? Show pictures and stuff.
I can play this instead.
Uh-oh.
Oh, hello.
Take a look at this.
Go on.
I don't know who I am anymore.
Sometimes I think there's something missing. Like I had something lovely. And it's gone. I lie in bed thinking, what have I lost?
I've got this friend called Donna Noble. I had to wipe her memory to save her life. No! If she remembers me, she will die. So what happens next? The spaceship crashes right in front of her. It's like she's drawing us in.
What the hell? We've got a bloody Martian in the shed! Don't look! He's not there. You can't see him.
Oh, here we go again.
Kate Lethbridge Stewart. What do we do this time, Doctor?
We go and kick its ass!
Something entered this world. Oh, but he is recognizing me.
Who is he?
After a very long time, something's coming back.
Make your last move, Doctor. Make your last move.
I don't know if I can save your life this time.
Your fight is with me! The game is not yet over. Open fire!
You're right around to me! The show is just beginning.
Worldwide premiere.
Those goosebumps are courtesy of Sean. Sean edits on YouTube and Twitter with that fan-made ultimate trailer for the 60th anniversary, everybody. So what Sean's done is take everything from all the trailers, rework it, put new music on, and I think he's delivered something there that's could even be a little bit better than the BBC's trailer. What did you think of that one?
Not hard.
Go on then. So what did you think of that one then, Ian?
I like the music that he's put in time with the visuals, which is really clever. BBC should have thought of that. But more or less, it's more or less the same. It's the same thing that we've seen in the new trailer and the L trailer, and it's well put together. As I said, the BBC's are hiring the wrong people. I don't know why they don't hire him just to do the trailer. But anyway,
fans are so much more creative, and I actually got goosebumps with that because I know they're going for the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 kind of Marvel.
Well, he did.
With
He
the
did
modern
add.
song and the.
He did add a punch sound effect when what's her name slapped.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's that all about? But anyway, yeah, cool.
Magic stuff. So, Shah, what did you make? What did you make of that? Because you're quite fond of the fan trailers, aren't you? In fact, I think it was you that sent me in that guy's direction for an earlier thing that he put together.
I absolutely love fan trailers. I just think they're so creative and they just come out with some absolute bangers, in all fairness. So yeah, I was well pleased with that. He's ever so good, Sean. So he deserves all the credit for making some awesome things. So yeah, well done, Sean.
I thought so too. What did you make of that one then, Jack? Have you come across that on your travels? Because you're over most things, aren't you? You're all over the Doctor Who news all the time.
Well, I haven't seen that one, but I can't lie. I was jamming out there. Like, I was just going to have a rave and start throwing some moves and making some shapes because that are perfectly put together. And you know what? Hire Sean, BBC. If you're watching this, just get on it because that was a beautifully made trailer. And yeah, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. And as Shah says, the fans are creative and they're really cool to watch. So.
They are. The 60th anniversary ultimate trailer from Sean edits on YouTube and Twitter. Go and find him and tell him that Type 40 sent you by all means. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. There's a load more to get into too. Check you're still subscribed because you know what YouTube's like, don't you? And hit the cloister bell, ding up a little bell to get all the notifications about what's coming next and when it's coming from us. You know what to do. And here they are to tell you it again.
Click the buttons. Like and subscribe. Click the buttons. Click the buttons. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Oh.
I thought they were going to
come back. I thought they were going to come back for another round then. The most consistent, aren't they?
It's all right. It's all right. You can edit it out. Edit it out. It's fine.
It's not live.
No, it's not live.
Some mysteries do remain, though, don't they, Charlotte? Where was Wilf, for example?
Oh, and I think for most people, where was the actual dates? That would have been so perfect.
Yeah.
I think at the end.
And as Jack pointed out, where is the 15th Doctor when we see him there at the end? We were musing on that for a few minutes, weren't we, on our deep dive review show, Jack? Have you got any answers yet? Have you managed to dig a little deeper?
What, in terms of where the 15th Doctor?
He's still sticking with the edge.
See, I'm kind of conflicted because, I feel like it is a bit, too fan service, to put it nicely. But yeah, I don't know. I'm leaning on it, or the toy room, or something like that, like a reimagining of it.
I like it. Well, somebody has answered the call and put you out of your misery. We've got this. Somebody's actually sort of unblurred it all and put this out onto social media, and so this is what we've got.
He's one of us.
Yeah. So he's gone in for a steak bake. Do you think that could be what's going on?
Well, I mean, if I was going in for one.
No, it would be a sausage, bean, and cheese melt, and I won't accept any other answer.
Oh, they're the best, aren't they?
Oh my God, honestly. My friend, when she was pregnant, she actually craved them during her pregnancy. How convenient. And she put on like 4 stones.
Can't we get Greg's sponsorship just for beanie cheesy melts, because they are the best.
Oh God, I'll be on it. I mean, like a carb on it.
Do you know? I wouldn't be surprised if he was in, like a jerk chicken shop. That'd be right up the street for the BBC, isn't it? With Shooty, wouldn't it? Instead of a fish and chip shop, or do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
I suspect it's a generic backdrop. I'm suspecting it might not even be a shot from an episode.
It feels like they're saying
It'll be a placeholder, yeah.
Remember that David Tennant's going to turn into Shooty. That's that's what they were saying at the ending, weren't they? Just remember, he's only here for 3 episodes. I think that's what they were saying.
Yeah, really. Just 3 episodes. Yes, and unfortunately, Ian, the things that people wanted. I mean, Sarah, that was the 2 big things left on your wish list, weren't they? So it was one was Wilf, and what was the other one?
The dates. That's all I wanted.
It's not much for a girl to ask for, is it, Sarah?
It wasn't, especially not for a Doctor Who girl. No.
All it takes to keep. God.
Don't. If you start looking, you're laughing.
Here we go. I know. That's
all it takes to get us to that happy place is 3 dates. That's all I'm saying. And so these are the 3 episodes, the 3 specials.
Unbelievable.
I don't know where it comes from. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me, Shah? I have no idea.
There's nothing wrong with you, my darling. You're absolutely fine.
Special 1, The Star Beast. Special 2, Wild Blue Yonder. And Special 3, The Giggle. These are the titles that have been etched on our memories now. Ian, this has been going on for months as well now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we want to know.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just I'm kind of intrigued to know this quite how these work. In that, are they all interlinked? Is it one overarching story that runs through the 3, or are they 3 self-contained?
I think they're self-contained. It's a shame, really, that is Star Beast the one with the little creature with the big eyes. But it's a shame, really, because I'd never read that comic. Yet being on this show and talking to other people, I know exactly what's going to happen. So, do you know what I mean? It's kind of spoils it for me, So, anyway, whatever.
Yeah, well, the first one is a curious thing because a lot of us know the story so well, don't we, Simon? Yeah. It's been around for 40 years.
It does still seem a bit strange. I'm all for bringing in Beep the Meep, totally, but it does seem a bit odd and it does seem to be the case that he's just basically taken the story from the Doctor Who Weekly and used that. That just seems rather odd somehow. I don't know.
Maybe ran out of ideas, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, bizarre.
I suppose if he uses that as something to frame this character piece, because obviously all eyes are going to be on the Doctor and Donna coming back together after such a long period of time, I suppose, Shah. They were besties. They haven't seen each other in the Doctor's case. It's been hundreds, maybe 1,000 years. And so how are they going to react when they come face? And how is the Doctor going to sort of access her memories and all these things? So I suppose, like a lot of season premieres for Doctor Who, the plot, in the nicest possible way, is kind of a secondary thing. I don't know. Do you see what I'm saying there, Sarah?
Yeah, I do. But I mean, going back to what Simon's point, I just kind of took it as it was just Russell's way of paying homage to the comic book strip, because it's not really being done. An anniversary special is like the perfect place to put, because you can experiment and you can have fun with it. And just another way it's a part of the 60 years of Doctor Who that hasn't been on screen. As much as multi-Doctor stories, and that's the kind of feeling I got. Was we've got the comic strip from was it the 70s or the 80s? We've got the big villain from the 60s. So I think he's just trying to pull different things in, so it isn't just a celebration of his tenure.
I guess so. I think the geek in me is bothered a little bit, and the Tiny Time Lord actually points this out. Does this mean that the comic isn't canon unless the Doctor goes meet you yet again, not you again? And that's kind of me. If it does mean that Doctor Who Weekly comic strip is not canon, because if it's repeating exactly what happens in the comic strip, obviously with different characters and so on and so forth, then undoubtedly it can't have happened twice on the same planet, and everybody be surprised and not know that what Beat the Meep is. And so that just seems a bit strange to me.
There's been a precedent set for that though, because the Lodger was originally a comic strip. So
okay, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. No,
Also, I'd just like to point out that this Doctor is a different version of the David Tennant Doctor, isn't it? So technically, he's not the same guy. So if he sees Donna, it's not really going to matter because he's not the same Doctor. That's what I think. That's a way around it.
He looks the same.
Yeah, he looks the same. He looks the same, but he isn't technically that Doctor, is he? So that's what I'm saying.
Operator with Tom Baker, essentially, like similar face, older. But,
Yes. So that's what I'm saying.
It's aged wonderfully, though. Yeah, no, I know what you think. That was actually my first thought. Was this isn't actually the same incarnation. So Donna won't remember the same one, but then she'll still have the memories. Obviously, no Doctor Wade, but she'll still have the memories of the same face.
Yeah. But she won't die, though.
That'd be a bit of a cop-out, though, I think. Yeah, he's going to have to do better than that.
I think the truth of it is that the kind of realisation I've come to is that Doctor Who now, because it has been going for 60 years and the continuity is just so damned complicated, it really is like 100 cans of worms wriggling all over the place. I think we all just have, and it bothers me knowing, because I like canon. Canon is something that fascinates me, not just in Doctor Who, but in film, in television, in books. It interests me and it fascinates me what is canon. But I really have come to the conclusion that I personally just have to let go of what is Doctor Who canon now. It's so complicated. There are so many contradictions that it just no longer actually makes true canonical sense. And you really would struggle to come up with a true one definitive canon for Doctor Who, I think, these days. Because it's just never going to hang together. It's virtually impossible for it to do. So what I'm saying is I've made my peace with that. I've come to terms with it.
Well, originally, when the line launched, the Big Finish line of audio dramas, they were sold partly on the principle that this was canonically official Doctor Who, if you remember. And to be fair, for a very long time, none of it contradicted TV Doctor Who at all, until Russell T Davies started kind of semi-remaking stories. Rob Sherman reworked one of his stories, didn't he, into Dalek? And there were several others as well that they've sort of used certain strings of. But I think that could be argued that they're not now either. Mary Shelley travelled with the Doctor, with the 8th Doctor, for an entire run of stories. And yet when the 13th Doctor meets in series 12, was it? There's no mention of that at all, no recollection. There's no reference to it. So you could say that only the TV show counts. And there's nobody who loves the comic strips of Doctor Who more than I do. And there's lots of affection for them in the live chat too. But we're still waiting on those 3 dates that we're going to get to see these specials: the Star Beast, Wild Blue Yonder, and the Giggle. But I think we could have a little peek at some possibilities here. So I don't know if you're aware of this, because we did talk about it very, very briefly. This may be some indication, because they did announce that the 3 target adaptations of these 3 specials, they announced these a couple of months ago, and they're coming out as audiobooks, as ebooks, and as traditional Target paperbacks, Simon, the way that we like them, and with that lovely logo in place there, the way where it should be, isn't it? It looks so right.
Yeah, quite right too, absolutely.
So, no illustrations yet, unfortunately, but there they are, and that's where they've sat for a little while. And they're up on the Penguin site, and the publishing date was the 11th of January 2024 on all 3 of those titles. Well, I say it was because it was. It isn't anymore. We've got more dates, everybody. Sometime in the last couple of days, the website's been updated, and we've got, and this may be some indication of what we're going to get and when it is we're going to get it. So here we are. This is the Star Beast book up on Penguin's website. So that's book 1 by Gary Russell, Simon, who we spoke to at Hooverville just a few weeks ago.
Indeed, we should have asked him about this, shouldn't we?
We should have done. Because when you look a little bit closer, now this is actually on the Australian Penguin site, but when you look a little bit closer, there's a date there for publication. It's out on the 13th of November 2023.
Ooh. Well, that's interesting, because they're clearly not going to release it before it's been on TV.
No, they're not, are they? And you go across to the second one, which obviously the Wild Blue Yonder, and that's got a date of the 20th of November 2023.
7 days later.
Oh, yeah, fighter.
There's a pattern emerging here.
Yeah, you see what's happening here? You go to the Giggle, and once again, that's out on the 27th of November, 2023. That's their official site. So obviously, I think you can order these. Obviously, these sites are used by the trade as well, aren't they? So they've got to know. Bookstores have got to know how many of these can get in. They can get in for when they're released. But
what's really interesting by those dates is that those dates are all Mondays. So is it possible that the episode screens on the Saturday and they release the book on the Monday?
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
That would make sense to me. You release the book on the Monday from the episode that was on the Saturday. Makes sense.
But what
day is that? So what date is that?
That would be the 11th of November,
Saturday.
the 11th of November, the 18th, and the 25th of November.
Charlotte,
No,
what were you going to
I'm
say?
just saying what's interesting. We had this debate a couple of weeks ago. Is it going to be like every night on a week, or is it going to be weekly? And to go off that, that's telling me he's going to do it weekly. He's going to have that gap in between each
I
special.
was thinking about that, Charlotte, because obviously if they're trying to get the kids back, it couldn't be in the week because obviously what would be at the time, like 7 o'clock, that's like EastEnders time or whatever else is on. So it would have to be a Saturday.
No, but it's not. I'm just thinking, like we said, like how much fond memories have we all got of on the playground talking and playing out the episode that you just watched? Like that's such a thing for kids, or it used to be. Maybe it won't be now. But I just think I've always thought this when people were saying no, they thought it was going to be like a Torchwood thing when they did that during the week. And I just in my heart, I was just thinking we could be wrong still. We'll have to see. But I'm with Starry. I think for kids, for that excitement, you need to have those gaps. You need to have that build up, that cliffhanger. I really think he's going to have cliffhangers at the end of all these specials.
Yeah.
You need that space. You can't rush it. And I think they don't want to rush it as well.
Yeah, there's people out there that really don't want weekly, and I actually don't understand why. In fact, I was saying to you, Jack, last night, wasn't I? I love it when, or at least I love it when I would watch Doctor Who an episode on Saturday, and maybe it was 2 parts, it was left on a cliffhanger, and you're just left wanting more. And that is, it's been a thing since the dawn of media, is that you always keep someone wanting more. And I think that is the way you're going to do it. And I think that is spot on.
Also, Shah, this isn't just the anniversary either. This is a sort of dry run for Doctor Who coming back to TV proper. They want to get the viewing public back into the habit of not just enjoying Doctor Who, but anticipating more Doctor Who. And so to give them a taster of that viewing pattern, I think you're right. I mean, this was my preferred option when we talked about it. I mean, we got a good half an hour's conversation out of this a few weeks ago, didn't we? And this was always my preferred option. So I'd be really happy with this. And as a content creator, Jack, it's pretty handy.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah.
I'm sure it is. Yeah.
Obviously, results may vary depending on who you are and how you like to consume TV. This is going to drive people who've got into the habit of binge watching, for example, Ian. It's going to drive them mad. That people who just don't like cliffhangers, they exist, don't they? These people.
They do. And I really, to tell you the truth, I like the cliffhangers that Doctor Who used to do, but I think it's out of vogue now, isn't it?
Sort of.
Cliffhangers
it is
for
a little
TV
bit,
shows.
yeah. But I think that Dan's right though. It's because we're so used to everything being available. In fact, another thing that we were talking about, spoiling the whole thing that we did actually, Jack. But like when it comes, because we did a podcast yesterday, but when it comes to media, everything is out. There's always something else coming straight after. And I think I actually think that's quite dangerous because you're so in danger of oversaturating. So I think that weekly is definitely the best way to go with this. And you're just gonna. It's tough luck. If you want more, you want them daily, then I'm sorry, but that is it. I don't think it's happening. I don't think it should happen either. I think it's
really annoying because. Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
I was about to say. It's really annoying because when everything is out and you can just binge watch it, there's nothing to talk to. Like, for instance, if I go to my friend Keith and I say, "Did you see so-and-so?" He'll say, "No." Do you know what I mean? Or he'll say, "Yes." Do you know what I mean? And we'll have it. You know what I mean? It's not like we have to wait every week. And I think waiting every week works better for the show because you anticipate. You're excited to see next episode. That kind of thing.
And also, I can see the BBC pushing for that because in some of their high-profile dramas they've had the last couple of years, like Line of Duty, Bodyguard, those sort of things, they really did well because they had that week of all the press talking about it. The BBC could have a whole week on their own channels promoting the next episodes coming up. So we'll have to see, but I just really think they'd be daft to not do this weekly at least.
You just to go back to Line of Duty, do you remember like you'd watch it and you'd be like, oh my God, at the end of every episode.
Yeah, you'd be like, I've got to wait now.
Yeah, you'd walk into work on in the next day and you'd be like, did you see what happened? And honestly, I didn't get any work done while Line of Duty was on because that's all we would talk about. Just constantly, and I just think
it's what they used to call it's what they used to call water cooler TV show.
Yeah.
And there were shows like this on. It wasn't that long ago, was it, Simon, where there were shows like this on pretty much every night of the week, and not necessarily soaps either. There was like big dramas or comedies that everybody watched.
Oh, yeah, they were always very high-profile dramas. And I always think, these days, so many times you'll get to the end of an episode of whatever it is, and it's always on the BBC. All episodes now streaming on BBC iPlayer. And I immediately think, I'm not interested in that. Because if they're all streaming on BBC iPlayer, they're clearly not very exciting because nobody's talking about them. So clearly people have watched them. So there's absolutely, it just devalues it to me. And as somebody that's worked in television, the same as Ian has within broadcast TV, it just frustrates me because it just dilutes the product. I think it feels devalues it takes away. It's just if it's immediately on demand and you can have it whenever you want it takes away the urgency to actually watch it. To wait for it to come, and so you become complacent and I'll watch it at some point, and it loses it for me.
We have to remember that this generation of fans of anything, they're used to that now. They're used to binging. They're used to looking at like a film on their cell phone. My nieces, they watch films on their cell phone. I'm like, how could you watch a film? So it's a different world now.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. We've got generally in the live chat, it's a little bit divided. There are people who are quite happy with it being weekly, and other people saying, I hope it's not weekly. So it's people. It works better for some than others, I think, is the general gist of that. We do have a question here from TARDIS Spider. Obviously, we don't have an answer for it, TARDIS Spider, unfortunately. But will it air simultaneously on Disney Plus? I can't see how it cannot. I think that's absolutely essential. So obviously, you can't take that to the bank, but I'd say that there's a strong inclination that if these do air on successive Saturdays on the 11th, 18th, and the 25th of November 2023, then they will be on Disney Plus at that time too.
I would bet large amounts of money that will be the case, because simply Disney Plus are not going to want to screen something that has already been screened, however days, weeks before, and has lost its collateral. No, they're not going to screen something old like that.
So will they be doing it on British time or American time though? That's the question.
British time.
British it's got to be, Okay. But I think you're quite right. Yeah, it makes no business sense if you think of it in that way, does it?
I'm not going to agree to that.
Because and that'll work for Disney Plus as well. Say if it's on 7 p.m. Saturday in Britain, Ian, for people in the States, depending on which time zone they're in, some of them will be 6, 7, 8 hours behind that. So they'll be waking up in the morning. That'll be on Disney Plus. But that's the precedent for that on Disney Plus has already been set. Although Star Wars shows, a lot of those drop at 4 a.m. So nobody's going to mind. People who are in the habit of watching like that show and consuming it and anticipating in that way, they're not going to mind that for this show coming back just for 3 weeks. I think that could actually work really, really well the more I think about it. So who knows? Patience is a lost art, suggests Gary Akers. That's poetry from the Retro Doc. Poetry. So for anybody late to the show, this is what we've been digging. This is what we've discovered. These 3 Target books are out on these 3 successive Mondays. Certainly, according to the Penguin official website, which means by our calculation, that means that Saturdays, the preceding Saturdays, are the most likely dates for these 3 episodes, these 3 brand new episodes of Doctor Who to drop. Who knows where it's going to go? Obviously, things could change, but we've got just 7 weeks 6 weeks until these potentially start.
Long.
Oh no! Please help Shar out. So let us know what you think. Which camp are you in? Do you think this is all terribly outdated? They're going to make you wait a week in between episodes of Doctor Who? How dare they? Or are you feeling the feels already and you can't wait to sit down at 7 p.m. every Saturday for just a couple of weeks? Get your fix of Doctor Who, get a bloody good cliffhanger, and have it work its way to a conclusion when the trilogy is all complete there. And obviously, I think a lot of us would have liked it to have concluded on Doctor Who Day, Jack, on the 23rd itself. But I suppose for me, what's important is the brand going forward.
Yeah, of course. And I think you've all made good points as well about it airing weekly, and especially when it comes to, the younger generation, my generation, where it comes to they get the cake, the full cake, and they just want to eat it all at once. I've been guilty of that, when Stranger Things aired and stuff like that, because I guess you kind of feel a little bit of pressure to binge watch it so you're not getting any spoilers. But I mean, with Doctor Who, especially as a content creator, I just want to, view it with cliffhangers and just build up the excitement. I'm a hype man and all that. So, yeah, that's all.
The hype man. The hype man. Sounds like a handle if ever I've heard one. Michael says, those broadcast dates, they're not the broadcast dates. No, they're the releases of the paperbacks. But we believe, as I say, just restate this again, we believe that the Saturday before those dates is probably the most likely air date for the 3 specials. Who mentioned cake?
Me.
Who mentioned cake a moment ago? Who was that?
That was me. I'm a bit hungry, so I was just thinking of cake.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because as we're often saying on this show, Sarah, Doctor Who fans are always celebrating something, and you can't really celebrate something in Great Britain without a cake, can you?
Of course not. It'd be illegal.
Illegal, yeah.
Practically illegal. They would lock you in the tower. And Russell T Davis, he got a cake a couple of days ago. Now this was Russell over on Instagram. And what did he say? What did the geezer say? So this was a cake. I don't know if he baked it himself. It looks like a couple of pieces of ice cream. Come to think of it, it's an ice cream cake or some sort of sundae, but a cake. Yeah, whatever. It's 20 years since the BBC announced that Doctor Who was going to return in 2005, and now here we are again. Love this show. So yeah, that's what this was in celebration of. That's what the big guy was shouting up, because yes, this was on the 26th. It's 2 days ago as of time of recording. On the 26th of September, it was the 20th anniversary of that big revelation when Lorraine Heggessy confirmed to the press that Doctor Who was indeed to return to screens after a couple of years' speculation and 14 years after it had last aired as a regular series on the BBC. 20 years, Simon. Do you remember where you were when you first heard Doctor Who was coming back?
Oh, that's a really good question.
I was probably.
Do you know what? I think. Do you know what? I think I was at home. I just think I heard it on the radio news. I think that's where I heard it. But I do remember it just being just the most exciting. Well, actually, I do remember what was really weird about this time is that at this point, Scream of the Schalke had only just come out. Was it on the BBC website or something like that? Scream of the Schalke.
And to go back on what you asked earlier on, Simon, that when they were publicising Scream of the Schalke, which was a thing that was on the website, a flash animation, wasn't it? They sold that on the principle that was an official canon continuation.
Correct, and they sold it on that. That was the Ninth Doctor. Richard E. Grant was the Ninth Doctor, and I can remember absolutely, Dan. It was official. It was in all the papers. Richard E. Grant is the Ninth Doctor, and then literally, I mean, I can't remember how close it was, but it was very close. It might have been days, it might have been weeks, it might have been a month. I can't remember, but it was very close then that they announced that he was actually coming back on TV, and it completely deflated Scream of the Schalke. I remember that we were all just like, okay, well, clearly I don't need to bother with that. And I would imagine that Schalke were very, very unhappy about that particular story breaking.
I was on the bus when I heard it, and I was
which
so
number?
excited. I can't remember which number, but I was so excited. I thought Paul McGann was coming back. I thought, they're making a new Doctor Who. They're going to, obviously the other Doctor only had one film. So I was really looking forward to it. And then I read, they're not going with Paul McGann, they're going with somebody else. And the rest is history, I guess. So I was on the bus, I heard it was coming back. So
Yeah. I actually read it on the website, but not on this website. I read it on Outpost Gallifrey, which is now Gallifrey Base, on their news page, but that did have a link directly to this article. This was on the BBC News entertainment page. Cult science fiction series Doctor Who is returning to TV 14 years after it was axed. The much-awaited comeback will be written by acclaimed TV dramatist Russell T Davies, a self-confessed fan. God, they make it sound so shameful, don't they? And they give a list of his credits. Give a list of his credits there. And there's a quote from him. It says, "I grew up watching Doctor Who, hiding behind the sofa. Like so many others, it's one of the BBC's most exciting original characters. He's had a good rest, and now it's time to bring him back. This is very early days, and it is unlikely anything will be on screen for at least 2 years, but it's very exciting, and I can't wait to get started," added Judah Gardner, who's obviously, she's one of the founders of Bad Wolf Studios, and very much back for the new all new era as well. So, Sarah, do you remember hearing about this, or was it something that sort of was off your radar at the time?
No, this was off my radar. I didn't really pick up on it. It wasn't until we were getting the publicity. So that would have been in 2005. So just a couple of weeks before it came back.
Is those were the days when what is it? The internet told the truth, was it? Is that
Those were the days when BBC News told the truth.
The truth, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Oh,
we have, yes, and the article continued here with we've got this comment too, and obviously Doctor Who fans, you may be aware of this, Charlotte. Even though we've been very patient this year, we're not historically known as the most patient of people, and I like how in this original article we've got a quote here from Mal Young, who at the time was really big at the BBC, very well respected figure in British drama, and he was the executive producer overseeing the project. And although he says Doctor Who is a truly loved iconic piece of TV, he stresses, however, we are at very early stages of development, and further details, including casting, will not be available for some time. It's far too early to discuss possible storylines, characters, villains, or who might play Doctor Who, and no budget has yet been set. That's not the kind of disclaimer they would put on the average TV show announcement, is it, Simon? Leave us alone. It's one of those, leave us alone, everybody.
Yeah, that's saying like, don't like make our inboxes at that point. I don't know what it would be. Don't break them. Please don't break them with emails and suggestions and who you want as the Doctor. It's
don't
very
break
much.
And I think nobody took a blind bit of notice either, and everybody did just that.
Well, yeah, exactly. The forums obviously were full of speculation, and in fact, I think they had to upgrade the servers, and all sorts of things happened over at Outpost Gallifrey then. And the BBC used to have their own forums then as well, and they eventually had to close those down completely. And same with Big Finish's one. So everything did change very drastically in that couple of years as new Doctor Who did take shape, and eventually obviously Russell T Davies would unveil his cast, and the rest was history. And here we are nearly 2 decades later, and he's doing it all over again because, well, needs must and all that. Now, when I saw it on that website, I was working nights at the time. I was working for this publishers. We were doing a lot of magazines that were American, for sale all over the world. And so files used to come in 24/7. So I worked these really weird shifts, and I got back. I hadn't even had the internet for that long. Got back home, checked my emails, and looked at a few things, and there it was. And I was so excited that I couldn't get to sleep even after I think I'd done a 12-hour shift staring at screens and stuff. And I just couldn't. I was so excited. And it's a long wait, obviously.
Well, I mean, I can certainly remember, that feeling that genuinely, Dan and Ian, you will remember this, that we had absolutely come to terms with the fact that Doctor Who was never, ever coming back.
Yes.
That was a done deal. There was no likelihood. We knew with the McGann movie, we'd had the opportunity that felt very much like the Last Chance Saloon, and that Doctor Who was dead and gone, and nobody was interested in it. So it was. I can certainly remember just being gobsmacked. I have to be honest, because it was the last thing in the world that I would ever have expected. And so I do remember just the frisson of excitement of knowing actually it is coming back. So I get what you're saying, Dan, that you couldn't. It was just unbelievable because we just waited so long and we'd come to terms with the fact it would never, ever, ever happen.
And then I remember my friend saying, "Oh, it's great, it's coming back. It's back on the BBC. It's not taken over by the Americans. Thank God that never happened." And I just said, "Tell them all shut up," because obviously Russell T's thing turned into all the things that they had in the movie. Russell T copied, I guess. You know what I mean? So
to an extent,
I love this comment by Tony. But what colour were the dresses, Tony? Were the TARDIS blue? I need to know.
For the people listening to the audio version, Tony Berriman was out buying bridesmaids' dresses for their wedding. What a nice story. Woodhouse 122 remembers hearing it on Radio 4, then rushing to the library to go to the internet to check Outpost Gallifrey. Go to the library to use the internet.
Even I remember that to an extent. Wow.
What about CFAX?
I remember
CFAX. Ian, do you remember internet cafes?
Oh,
yes,
God, yes.
I
Oh, God,
Cafes,
yes. Yeah.
They were everywhere, weren't they?
Yeah, they were crazy.
There was a huge one on the top floor of the pavilions, which is now a massive Primark in the centre of Birmingham. Literally hundreds of PCs all wired up. Do you remember that, Simon?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember it really, really clearly. And you used to have to book a slot.
Exactly.
Just crazy.
And the Nokia phones that didn't give you anything but just gave you you're like,
Hey, listen,
quick, let's get it. Yeah, you still got
Fabulous stuff.
Crazy.
We want your memories too. Yeah, where were you when you found out that Doctor Who was coming back to TV? However old you were. So was this slightly before your time, Jack?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was alive.
He's a young'un.
Just a little person.
Time tot.
Yeah,
it's a time tot.
Yeah.
Not a jelly tot, but a time tot. Yeah, definitely.
Speak for yourself, Dan, says Simon Ashley. I don't know what I said. I don't know what I said this time. Oh, dear. Heavens above.
You have to watch it back.
Yeah. Michael... several more memories too. Michael said he was listening. His radio alarm clock woke him up with the news, and it was the best wake-up call I'd ever had.
Cool.
Yeah, cool.
Paul Flint remembers being drunk at college when the first ever trailer for New Who dropped. I nearly drowned from my pint.
I love that trailer.
That takes some doing fast.
That trailer was one of the best trailers for Doctor Who. It was a great trailer. Got him it. Really.
Is that the one where he's running from the fire?
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Well,
I was so excited until I saw the episode. I was so excited. I was okay.
Imagine this though. Tony L says the first time he heard the news was when he saw one of the billboard posters.
Wow.
So he was completely in the dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember the posters and I go, "Oh, that's really interesting." And then going on the internet and people were complaining because the TARDIS doors opened the wrong way.
Yeah, really.
I didn't know. I didn't realise, and I was just like, "Oh my goodness, what is this that I'm getting into?"
And we've got a comment here from the Tiny Time Lord who simply says, I didn't exist yet.
Oh,
bless.
I love this
How
guy.
lovely is that though? That there's people out there,
best.
yeah. That is great. Just like Cooper has literally had Doctor Who in his life since forever. That's great. Yeah.
Was that the time when you used to go on the internet and you used to have that noise?
Yeah.
You had to wait till it booted up.
Oh my god! My mum would always be like, "Have you kept account of it?" I'm dying. always. And then she'd be like, "I want to talk to my friends."
In Christmas Invasion, when Jackie says that exact sentence to Mickey, and I'm like,
"What was that?
Those were the days."
What did she say?
When he's using the internet to hack into wherever he's hacking into. And she's like, keep account of it.
Oh my god, she does. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, it's exactly what my mum used to say to me.
You couldn't use the phone if somebody was on the internet.
No, you couldn't.
No. That's what I'm saying. My mum would be like, my mum was a young mum, and she was like, "I've got my mate I want to speak to," and I'm actually my daughter is using up all this time and money. I don't think she was best pleased, but I had other friends to be on,
it seems almost impossible to imagine now, doesn't it? An ice age ago. And I love the fact that new fans have come along and either were very small then and have grown to love the show, Jack, as you have, or people like Cooper who weren't even alive then. And it's lovely. It just goes to show that this show has still been working its magic on the generations that have come since, doesn't it? And hopefully it'll all happen again if these specials, if it all comes together. They've built it all. Looks like they've built it up quite well, and they've done it all for the love of Doctor Who, and obviously to make a few quid, I don't doubt. And that's very much why we sit here whenever we get together twice a week lately to ramble on about all of this and to keep track of all those goings on out there in the Doctor Who universe. So much to get stuck into, of course. Let us know your thoughts about that. Where were you when you found out Doctor Who was coming back? Or were you out of the fandom then? Or were you yet to find it? Were you simply not old enough to know what Doctor Who was? We'd love to know. Let us know in the comments section, please, everybody. And also let us know, we still want to know your answers. What does TARDIS stand for?
I thought that I died a dignified death. Obviously not.
We need to keep the answers coming in for that. We've got some good ones already, but we're not going to close the book on that just yet. We're going to collect more and write them down in some sort of journal for our Shah, maybe, see what we can do.
Thanks. I'll take that as by the time this all comes, I'll take it as a birthday present, if you will. So that's fine. I'll have that. A journal of what
a birthday present that you never asked for, Shah, but you're going to get it anyway.
There's one thing, honestly, since I joined you guys, and since we've all become friends, that is what I've learned. I've just got to take one and get it from you guys sometimes, and I am absolutely fine with it.
How long did that take for you to realise?
Probably about. But no, if I'm being perfectly honest, probably about 3 episodes in.
Yeah.
I was like, I know what's happening here, yeah. I know what's going to happen.
That one we got you on and played all that atrocious music at you. I thought you were going to wet yourself. You were laughing that much. Anyway.
Oh my God, it was the best. Anyway, sorry.
And whilst we're on the plugs, don't forget type40.podbean.com. That's where you can find the podcast too. A new episode dropped a couple of days ago. That was myself and Ian. We were talking to Philip Roy. Do you remember that, Ian? We got to sit down with Phil, didn't we? Talk about his brand new fan film. Fascinating conversation, wasn't it? You sell it to him. Sell it to him.
Well, I mean, he's made his own fan film. It's kind of based on the classic Doctor Who. In fact, Simon would like the pictures that he showed us. It looks really good, and he played Sylvester McCoy in the Day of the Doctor, didn't he? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
So at the ending where they're all standing.
Yeah.
He was the stand-in for Sylvester McCoy.
Oh, I didn't know there were stand-ins. I genuinely didn't. I thought they were all CGI'd in. No, that's awesome.
They're not CGI.
You can get the inside story from Philip Roy himself on the latest edition of Type 40, a Doctor Who podcast, across all major podcatchers, of course, including Spotify and Amazon Music and all those places, and in video form too, near enough completely raw here on the Type 40 channel as well. Get that into your life. And more Type 40 Live coming up very, very soon. But it is now time to take that break because there's more to come. Here's our regular junction for some of us to top up your brew and others to just go and hose down the smallest room in your house. If you're all good, though, don't move
the whole room.
The whole room.
Wow.
Us boys, some of us, we do make a mess.
oh, Dan, this is information I did not need. But okay, well.
So while some of us go off and point Percy at the porcelain, the rest of us can sit down and can enjoy these golden sights and sounds and faces from Doctor Who's past, flogging bits of old tat in the ever-popular Type 40 Live ad break. We'll see you back here in a couple of minutes. Enjoy the ads, everybody. They're not that bad. There's some good ones here. Check them out.
Character building Doctor Who. Build your adventures with all new construction microfigures. Cybermen, Smilers, Silurians, Weeping Angels, Daleks, and create new adventures with the Doctor and Amy. Visit characterbuilding.eu to download the Series 1 collector poster. 10 figures to collect plus 5 super rare figures. Collectible, constructible, compatible. Doctor Who construction microfigures from Character Building.
Today, we make the great pizza.
But why? A sweat over the hot stove. Pick up the pizza at the menu. Pick the fresh baked pizza. Pick the size you like. Make it as deep as you like. With as many toppings as you like. Never have I tasted such a good pizza. Sorry, Mama.
Pizza Hut, the home of the pizza.
Tell you what, mate, I'm knackered. Knocking off at the end of the day, girls with long blonde hair.
Winning a pony down at the dogs and having a good swear.
Doing the waltz of the land before, a bunker full up with coal.
Jelly bills and cockles, on top of scoring a goal. Having a salt
in every pool,
a Turkish bar,
and a pint of courage best. That's what I like. Standing here, having a beer, he knows how to pull a pint the best. Now listen here, it's lovely and clear and stands alone from all the rest. It's creamy and golden,
and really a classic.
It quenches your thirst.
You ain't brassy.
It's smooth and smashing,
tasty and great,
and drawn and handsome.
Cheers, mate.
It's courage best. That's what I like.
Imperial, famous brands doing famously.
Here come the talking cars. There's Z Victor 4, the talking police car with exciting police calls.
To Z Victor 4?
And the fabulous talking Batmobile with the dynamic bat messages.
Step on it, Batman.
Watch out! There's even a talking Dalek.
Exterminate!
Talking cars and talking Dalek from Palitoy.
You will obey!
Character building Doctor Who. All new Series 2 microfigures. 10 to collect, including the Doctor, Amy, Rory, River, and the Silent. Doctor Who Series 2 microfigures from Character Building.
Very good.
You like that one, don't you? Yes, welcome back to Type 40 live streaming across the fourth and fifth dimensions here with more Doctor Who news, views, nostalgia, and banter across Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook. The more nostalgia, the better. I think we get stuck into some more of that. Yes, so thank you for all the comments, everybody.
No, I was just going to say that talking Dalek advert. I've never seen that talking Dalek, and I've still got my talking Dalek, and it still talks, everybody.
Wow!
Still
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, you need to bring it on the show, Simon.
Next week.
Yeah.
Or when can we see it in person?
Yeah.
Just saying.
I think he has before. I think, we need to have some sort of get together, don't we? Yeah, I absolutely agree. So, enough of the now for the time being, Simon. Doctor Who's past is as alive as ever. There's always something new for us to see, isn't there? And something else for us to learn about a show that's been on for nearly 60 years. Lots of stories within stories. And there's too much, certainly for me, to keep in my mind, any mortal mind, I think, and certainly too much for any normal book to hold. Wouldn't you say?
100%. There's only one book that can hold all that information. What could it be?
It's back.
I think it could be the Doctor Who diary.
I think it could be. Yes, indeed. We are off again for years gone by, for the last week of September, in the last 60 years. But before I tell you what we're going to talk about tonight, I'm going to tell you about what we're not going to talk about tonight, because sadly, we are not talking about any of the 17 episodes that were screened this week in years gone by. Now, I tell you what, there is an embarrassment of riches, a smorgasbord of 17 episodes that we cannot talk about tonight. So we can't, for example, talk about the fact that The Abominable Snowmen, Planet of Evil, The Invisible Enemy, The Pirate Planet, and City of Death were all starting this week in years gone by. No time to talk about them. I'm sorry. We can't talk about the fact that The Smugglers, The Mask of Mandragora, Time and the Rani, Battlefield were all ending this week in years.
You did warn us, Simon. This was Doctor Who time of year, wasn't it?
Absolutely. This was the Doctor Who time of year. That's why there's 17 episodes. Can't for lovers of New Who. Angels Take Manhattan, The Wedding of River Song, The Witch is Familiar, The Caretaker. All these episodes screened this week. Time's gone by. We can't talk about it.
But we need 17 Type 40 extras done.
That's what we need. That's what we need. We're talking about one episode tonight, and one episode alone, and it's an episode that waited 28 years to be broadcast. and it's the pilot episode. Because the pilot episode, as it was called, well, it says it's latterly being called, was recorded yesterday, exactly 60 years ago. So television history, Doctor Who history in particular, was made exactly 60 years ago yesterday when they recorded the pilot episode for Doctor Who, For an Unearthly Child. And for those people, Jack, you must know about this. Have you heard? Have you watched the pilot episode?
I haven't watched the pilot episode. I've watched the original Unearthly Child, but I've seen some screen grabs from the pilot.
But you're aware of the fact that so for people that aren't aware of it, basically what happened was exactly 60 years ago, and this was unheard of 60 years ago that they would make. It wasn't called a pilot episode in those days. The word pilot episode didn't exist. It was a trial episode. They tried to make the first episode, as I say, 60 years ago yesterday, with the hope that they would sort of we'll see whether they got anything that worked or not. It was literally a trial episode, but they just didn't make them like that in those days. So it was kind of a real game changer, this was, and it broke the mold. Sidney Newman, of course, who was the guy that had commissioned Doctor Who, was famously very, very unhappy with the pilot episode. There are a lot of technical errors in the pilot episode. Sidney Newman, bless him, actually called it the worst piece of work I've ever seen. I've seen in a very long time. So he was really, really damning.
Was he? Because we've all got a kind of a slightly romanticized view of Sidney Newman. Was he a difficult man to please? What kind of guy was he?
Yeah, he was a very difficult man to please. He took no prisoners, did Sidney Newman. He was merciless. He was one of those people that I think if you were on the right side of him, absolutely, as Verity Lambert ultimately was. He was. There was nothing but praise. But he was a hard taskmaster by all accounts. He was a perfectionist. He knew how he wanted things doing, and so, as I say, he was not impressed with the pilot episode. Some of the errors that creep into the pilot episode, if you haven't seen it, it's almost comical. Carol Ann Ford pretty much muffs her very first line in the whole show when she gets the line about John Smith and the common men wrong way round, and the number that they've gone from number 3 to number 42 in 1 week, and it's brilliant. She gets it all completely wrong. William Russell knocks over a clock in the junkyard with a resounding crash. But by far the funniest part is the TARDIS doors that literally have a life of their own, and hold in the second half. They're just swinging willy-nilly, freely. They're having their own show. They're literally having their own show as they swing backs and forwards. And there's clearly something to do with doors in the pilot episode, because the second funniest bit is Ian and Barbara in their first scene together, trying desperately to get through the classroom door and failing ignominiously.
Oh, yeah.
And Carol Ann Ford is sitting there still acting her socks off, and you literally see, the Ian and Barbara behind just trying to wrestle this door. It's beautiful to see. And so you kind of see why Sidney Newman was not desperately impressed. And I think, truth be told, this was such a technically demanding episode to make. That's why they made so, and it was made for live. Let's not forget, it was live, but it was made for live. So it was recorded in They would have had would they have readings of the script and then rehearsals and then dress rehearsals. So they would have gone through it and blocked it out, wouldn't they? But it would have still have been a much greater momentum.
I don't think they even did that in those days.
Really?
I think no, because it was the same with the Avengers, with Honor Blackman. That was all done live as well, and with Doctor Who.
I think it was rehearsed though, wasn't it? I'm sure.
Only one time though. They never had a table read in those days. They rehearsed it.
Wow.
The director told them where to stand and whatever. But it's the props people that didn't fix the door. I mean, it's not their fault, is it? Do you know what I mean?
No,
and if it's live, you have to keep going, don't you? No matter what happens, right?
Well, interestingly, they on the making the pilot episode, they did actually abort the take in which the TARDIS doors are swinging backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
And again, you're right, Ian. That was unheard of. You didn't stop a take. You just couldn't afford to stop a take, and so this was unprecedented to do that. But they did. They aborted the take, and they started all over again.
There's a famous bit in just going off slightly.
Yeah.
In the Avengers, where Honor Blackman was actually doing a fight sequence with the stuntman, and she actually broke his nose. She kicked him in the nose. This is all live, and he fell in the grave, and she broke his nose by kicking him in the nose. So that means doing live stuff, especially when it's technical and has stunts, was very, very dangerous.
You did just have to get on and do it.
Yeah.
But the pilot episode is also interesting in that there are some key differences between the pilot episode and the episode, Jack, for example, that you've watched of An Unearthly Child. And I think some of the differences in a way, actually, I like. For example, the theme tune of the pilot episode starts with a thunderclap, and it's really quite cool. And I still don't. I wonder to this day why they took the thunderclap.
Why they dropped it?
There's no explanation for that, and it's really quite cool. Susan, in her first scene, does a really weird hexagonal drawing. One of the key things again that Sidney Newman didn't like was that Susan was made out to be very weird and very alien, too weird and too alien in his opinion. And so one of the things is that she draws what could be suggested the hexagonal TARDIS console. That's what I thought it was supposed to be. Yeah. Susan and the Doctor wear different costumes.
Yeah.
Susan is in very sort of typical futuristic 1960 style of futuristic outfit. There you are. You can kind of see it's this sort of silver jerkin tabard thing that's very sort of Jetsons kind of thing. And so she gets watered down and turned more childlike, because that was another thing again that Sidney Newman didn't like, that Susan was too adult and she needed to be more.
The costume in the pilot episode is a bit more lost in space, isn't it? It's
very lost in space, Dan. That's the perfect analogy, actually. Yeah, it is. There's no fault locator. We've talked about the fault locator before. We all love the fault locator. There's no fault locator in the pilot episode, whereas it appears for the first time actually in An Unearthly Child when they remount the episode a week later. Crucially, they take out the line from the pilot episode when Susan says that the Doctor and her are from the 49th century, and they replace that in An Unearthly Child with the line that she says they're from another time and another world, which is somewhat more poetic. But also, I mean, if we talked about canon earlier, if that had gone out in the televised episode, we would have forever been talking about the 49th century as being the time in which the Doctor and Susan leave Gallifrey.
Whenever I watch it as well, and I hear that line, I get like it's quite chilling somehow. I don't know what it is. In fact, the whole thing is quite chilling. Come to think of it,
it is quite haunting. But one of the big changes that they make between the pilot and An Unearthly Child, and this is a real shame that they don't repeat this in An Unearthly Child, and that's that as Barbara goes in through the TARDIS doors from the junkyard, you can see the TARDIS interior through the TARDIS doors, and that never ever happened in the classic series. They took it out of An Unearthly Child, never appeared in the classic series. They only started doing that when the show came back in 2005. So they made some odd choices and took some peculiar things out.
Because the studio it was filmed in, Simon, Lime Grove. That was famously very small by TV studio standards, wasn't it?
This big, tiny. Yeah, and there are I know that not so long ago, Doctor Who magazine printed or it was it one of the other magazines? I think it was actually Nothing at the End of the Lane. Printed the plans for not only the pilot episode, but then the actual repeated recording of An Unearthly Child. And it's incredible the way they fitted those sets into such a tiny space. But again, as I say,
the thought though of them lining up so you could get that shot of Barbara going through from one to another, that's quite an audacious thing to try in a space that small.
It was cleverly done because the classroom lets onto the corridor, so they filmed it. These are interlinked sets. When again, interlinked sets weren't really a big thing. So you begin to see in many ways. You begin to see why we're still talking about Doctor Who to this day, because actually it was groundbreaking. They were definitely pushing boundaries. There's no two ways about it. They were really pushing the boundaries back.
On no money.
But it's the necessity of it all. What make you have to be more creative and ingenious.
Exactly. And also, I find it charming. Tell you the truth.
Oh, me too. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm not saying it as a derogatory comment at all. I actually find it amazing. So that's what they were able to do.
I still think An Unearthly Child is just one of the best episodes of Doctor Who ever. It's got so much atmosphere, it's so haunting. Because what happened, as I say, they made the pilot episode and decided to scrap it, and then a week later they went back and re-recorded it again, and that's the episode that we now see. Oddly, there are literally 5 different edits of the pilot episode that exist out there. You can see it. For anybody that hasn't seen it, you can see it. It's available. It's on the beginning box set, the beginning DVD
box set, which is very cheap now. I think it's around $10.99 at Amazon, isn't it? In HMV.
The odd thing about this is that, as I say, it was first screened 28 years after it was made in August of 1991, and it was shown on BBC Two as part of the Lime Grove story, which was marking the closure of Lime Grove Studios. And what was interesting about that particular version that they broadcast is that it kept pretty much all of the dialogue errors and the technical errors. So it's a real warts and all version of the pilot episode. Oddly, the episode that is on the beginning box set is very much a sanitized version. They've literally removed all the errors. In some cases, they've sorted out Susan's line, so she now gets the right order of the chart position, which seems completely nonsensical to me. I just don't get why you do that. But to be clear, the beauty of it is that the beginning box set also has the full unedited recording on anyway. So that's the thing I would suggest. It's pointless watching a sanitized version. You might as well watch An Unearthly Child.
Yeah,
exactly. A sanitized version of the pilot.
Yeah.
The thing is to watch the full version with all its warts and the 3 that they did 3 retakes on the second half of the episode. So you see all 3 of the retakes.
Wow.
Great comment here from Cooper Simon, who agrees with you. Says, I remember watching the pilot episode before the real episode, and I was so disappointed that the thunderclap didn't return. So it is those little things, just those little things they tidy up. When you were talking about what Susan was wearing, with the first Doctor, he wears a much more sort of severe suit, doesn't he? He's less of a Victorian, a Dickensian character.
100%. They just popped it. They put him in a normal suit as opposed to what we now know of him as Edwardian garb.
Coat.
Correct. And so again, it's just really interesting to think, had they gone down the route of the suit from the pilot episode, we would never necessarily think of the Doctor in frock coats and Edwardian garb and 3/4 length jackets. It could have been so very, very different. It's interesting to see how it could have gone, because bear in mind, it was this close that they might have screened that episode. If they'd been happy with that episode as it was, they wouldn't have remade it. It wasn't necessarily remade. It wasn't the pilot episode wasn't made necessarily with the intention of remaking it. If it had turned out fine, they would have screened it exactly as it was.
What do you think? What were they? Very different. What were they least happy with then? Was it more the technical stuff than the story, than the fiction of it?
The thing that Sidney Newman was most unhappy with was the characterization, because he felt that Susan was too alien. He also felt she was too sexualized. I'm not quite sure I can see this, but I guess you've got to look at it from a 1960s context to see that sexualization was very different to today's idea of it. But also, crucially, he was really unhappy with the Doctor, who he felt was just too grumpy, too dislikable, too
I can see that.
Totally.
Which
totally
actually,
agree.
again, when you look at an unearthly child, he's pretty damn abrasive in that.
Yes.
You know, so that puts it in context as to how grumpy he was in
the pilot. Though he's more, he's not just nasty; he's quite detached, I think, and cold. That's
I
the
think
difference.
that's a good point, actually, Dan.
He is towards Susan, I think, in that one.
You're right. He is.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think with Ian and Barbara, it would have made sense, and I actually like that a bit in both versions. That he is quite abrasive to both of them because they're strangers. They've come into his TARDIS. He doesn't want them. But with Susan, it did come across. I remember when I first watched it, and even I was thinking, why are you being like that with your granddaughter? Like, and also it really. I remember thinking it really emphasizes you two are alone. You're the only two of your race that are here. So wouldn't that make you even more wanting to be a bit more caring on the outside about her?
Yeah, but the thing is, you're thinking of Doctor being human. He isn't human. And also remember, I don't know how old in Earth years the Doctor was then. But that's completely you can't compare humans to Time Lords. I mean that he might be just 1 year old there. Do you know what I mean?
Ian,
just learning. So
to be fair though, it's not human. I'm talking about it's familiar relationships. It's having, even if you don't want to say it's family, like I said, the fact that they're on a planet which is alien to them. They're living in a junkyard. They're purposely being away from everybody. So just even if it's just survival, you would want to keep the other person close and be a bit more protective.
Well, I think what you're talking about there, Charlotte, is the fact that it's whether it makes enjoyable television to watch.
Yeah,
and
he's grumpy.
It's actually, however correct or not it is, it's just slightly.
Yeah, he's very grumpy, and also, as I said, right, maybe they were thinking, let's make him more alien. I don't know what their thought processes was, but I did find him really unlikable.
Oh, he is.
In the first episode, just really, it reminds me of Peter Capaldi when he first started. I really hated Peter Capaldi's Doctor when he first started. It's like, what the hell, So I don't know.
Well, it has to be said, when you watch, even as I say, An Unearthly Child, the actual broadcast episode, when you watch that, it's almost remarkable that we are still sitting here talking about Doctor Who, because it was a big ask of the audience that they would warm to this quite difficult lead character. That you're the intention of the program makers 100% was that you, as the audience member, would identify with Ian and Barbara. Which was a really odd thing, that you've got this show called Doctor Who, but you're not actually supposed to identify with the lead character. Wow, how that has obviously reversed quite quickly, and by the mid '60s.
Simon, do you think it was the monsters and the Daleks and when Angel do all that stuff? That's why the kids got fascinated with Doctor Who.
100%.
It wasn't really the Doctor, was it, that they were attracted to? It was all those monsters and there. Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
And yet, still people that I know that were there at the time that watched that first episode. And followed it through and still say William Hartnell is undoubtedly the only kind of Doctor, as it were. So although you weren't in a way meant to identify with the Doctor, I do get this myself, when I watch, and I love the Hartnell stuff, and I actually love his just slight prickliness. There are times when it just goes a little bit too far. Yeah. But as I say, in fact, it goes too far in An Unearthly Child. I think in that first episode, it goes too far, and yet it's still somehow it works. There's a magic within that celluloid that somehow it works.
You have to remember that when they made kids shows in those days, they were pretty dark. They really were dark. And Doctor Who's no exception, isn't it? I mean, the bit where the Doctor's going to kill someone with a rock, I was like, what the hell? What is this? Is Doctor Who or what? Is he a murderer? What the hell? That kind of thing. So
but Mondassi and Cybermen, they weren't dark at all. My God, I am still so terrified of those things. The eyes, it's the eyes. I just can't find your head around it.
Sorry, no, I was just going to say, it is just whatever works for you, whatever freaks you, whatever. It's just odd, but I do think, as I say, watching that first episode, you are very much aware you are watching lightning in a bottle. There is something about it that you can see quite. I can see why there is this 60-year thread that somehow it connected.
Can you really?
Yeah, I can. I just think it's got something. I don't know what it is.
That's lovely.
I don't think it's something. I think it's a happy accident because the first episode.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Was what you call it? Was he was? I didn't warm to him at all, right? And basically, they were really lucky that they decided to keep going with it. And if they didn't, any other show would have been cancelled. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think Doctor's very lucky.
At the point that they were making the pilot episode and even An Unearthly Child, the intention was only to make 13 episodes.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah,
that was all that was commissioned. There was no intention whatsoever of continuing after the 13th episode.
But kids shows were really dark in those days. Ace of Wands was dark. Doctor Who was dark. Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, even Sapphire and Steel was dark. And that was in the afternoon. Jeez.
There was an acceptance of the fact that kids were quite safe as long as they got a good sofa to hide behind. And
they love it. They love being scared.
Did then, and they still do now. This was a fascinating time in the series history, and we're definitely going to be revisiting the Hartnell era too before the anniversary year is out. What we're going to be doing and when we're going to be doing it, we're going to keep that secret just for the time being. But Simon, thank you for putting that together. It's fascinating. Look,
thank you, Simon.
Very welcome. Interestingly, very final fact on the pilot episode is we nearly didn't have it because it was lost. It was lost until 1978.
I found it.
It was lost. They found it. They didn't even know they were looking for it. They found it in a mislabeled film can in 1978. So if they hadn't found it, we would forever have had this fabled pilot episode out there that we would never really had much.
Not in Nigeria, then.
Can you imagine how frustrating that would have been, though, to not have the pilot episode?
All I know is I need to watch it because I never ever have, and my only information I have from it is from An Adventure in Space and Time. So and I just thought that was all dramatized, the things that they did in there. Like, for example, when Hartnell takes off his jacket or his scarf, he just drops them by accident and little things like that. And I was like, I'd love to have actually seen that. But to know that it's actually a thing, it's hilarious.
Be here when we talk about An Adventure in Space and Time later this year. And we're going to dig into
some of the
difference between the myth and the drama. The fact and the fiction when we review that. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cloister bell to get all the notifications about what's coming next and when it's coming. Isn't that right, Simon? Thank you so much for putting that together. It's absolutely fascinating. Cool. I mean, I'd forgotten that this thing was lost. I suppose the only thing that I can sort of equate this to is how that Peter Cushing radio pilot that was recorded, that is lost. No copies of that exist. And the thought that could have been the Doctor Who pilot episode, we have the transmitted one, but as an artifact, I think the pilot episode is very, very important. And I'm always finding to get new things about it. You've filled in a few gaps there, Simon, so thank you so much for that.
Amazing.
It's great to have the diary back, as always. What have they got to do, Simon, if they enjoyed the diary?
They've got to like and subscribe.
That was said so beautifully.
You want to. Like, he's doing it almost subliminally, isn't he? So it gets into their heads.
I know, he's doing a master trick there.
You ain't going to get this stuff again. So what you got to do? Like and subscribe.
Let us know what you think of all that. Have you seen the pilot episode? Do you want to see the pilot episode? Have you stayed away from it like Michael had, who's never watched it? He's been too afraid to see it. Are you going to go and watch it now after that conversation? What's the worst thing that can happen, Shah? What's wrong with these people?
I don't think we should ask anything like that in this ever.
And when you do watch it, get back to us in the comments section too with your thoughts, your takes, the things you noticed, the things that you think you might have noticed, and maybe the things that you can't believe that that they dropped that were brilliant ideas that they left behind, because obviously times do change and things that wouldn't fly then would probably fly now. We're used to a lot more darkness now, aren't we? But we're back to the present day now for this next item, and this is today really. Now you're going to like this, Sarah, because there are several back to sort of 2005, sort of, because you may be aware, and I'm thinking of you as well, Jack, because obviously you're a content creator as well. You're very active on social media. You engage with the people who consume your material, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And are you aware, though? Are you aware that Doctor Who fans, how can I put this, can be kind of difficult people to please?
Really?
Oh yeah.
Really?
This is brand new information.
Really?
And
could
to
it
be
be
shocked,
said? Could it be said that we actually like a good moan?
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah.
We're English, of course. We like a good moan.
Yes.
British. We are all Brits on this panel this time, aren't we? Lots of people from abroad in the live chat. Yeah, but we do like a good moan. But there are some things, quite frankly, Sarah, that taking them away is kind of taking the slash. And over the last few years, lots of things have sort of ebbed away from those early days of new Doctor Who. We've lost all this stuff in the last few years. So people get very nostalgic for things like the Battles in Time cards, for proper action figure play sets, for proper DVD extras, DVD box sets. Used to be chock full of brilliant extras. And then there's the whole Doctor Who at the proms, and need we mention, for fear of us all just disintegrating into gibbering wrecks, the enormous loss of the Doctor Who experience. Still smart.
Oh, that's
It does. There's a big hole in my life from that.
There is, because I never went either.
Oh no!
I think.
I know. It's sad. I'm just going to go away and weep for a second.
But no, don't go yet, because above all of them was this mainstay of 21st century Doctor Who for the first 6 or 7 years on screen, on BBC Three, every week, time after time. It was the behind-the-scenes companion series to Doctor Who itself, Doctor Who Confidential. And these started out as a half-an-hour show. They beefed it up to 40 minutes. Then by the end of it, I think it was longer than the episode of Doctor Who that it was there.
It was at some point.
It was there to support. Quite mental, really. But news came, so they dropped Confidential. I think under Moffat, they dropped it not long before the anniversary, the 50th anniversary, which seemed ridiculous to me. Was when they dropped it, just when there was going to be more content to cover. But the idea was that the website, the official websites and social medias, which were still not exactly in their infancy there, Jack, but they were still quite new, that they would pick up the slack, and that people prefer to get 3 or 4 minute chunks rather than a half an hour, 40-minute package. That was the theory.
Yeah, well, the thing is with Confidential and why it worked was, as like you said, it was like, it was more in depth, like, half an hour and then to 40 minutes and stuff. And you had plenty of time to see how like iconic moments and stuff were made, which, was terrific. But then, the unfortunate moment when it got axed, stupid decision, especially like not too long before the 50th anniversary. And then, with that one there, Doctor Who Extra, that I just saw, that's just kind of where it went off, because you could then get it on YouTube, and there was no incentive to get the DVDs then, because it's like, well, why am I going to pay like 20 quid when I can just watch it online for free? It's just like,
It gradually morphed into Doctor Who Extra, didn't it? Which was a kind of, I think it was misconceived.
It was never as good. It was never as detailed.
Was it because
Doctor Who Extra? What was Doctor Who?
No, I don't.
Was that the Capaldi one?
Yeah, it was like basically just like a couple of interviews, but it were never as good as. It didn't have the same kind of breadth of. What was going off.
And it was
didn't
only
have
15
Anthony
minutes.
Stewart Head's voice. That's what it was. I didn't have Anthony Stewart's voice over. No, I don't. But I think it's when sorry, I didn't mean to cut him off. But I think it was when BBC Three moved. They had a whole thing, didn't they, where BBC Three wasn't a channel anymore. So I think with that, everything that was on BBC Three just sort of fell apart a little bit until BBC iPlayer.
It was very much part of the ritual originally, Shah. So people, you would kind of watch one after the other. I certainly would record them, even if I'd have a little bit of a break and then watch it. And they'd repeat them on Sundays as well. They'd produce truncated versions too, and obviously the cast and the crew would all come on, and they'd just be really fun items. And I think David Tennant actually directed one of them and put it together himself. So some of them would be a little bit left field, and they talked to all the people that you'd want to talk to at the time, really. And for me, it was never better than when it was half an hour. I thought half an hour was pretty much perfect for this, a real sweet spot, because it didn't drive the casuals away, Simon. They would tune into BBC Three, they would switch the channel, and they'd get something which was amusing and wouldn't take up another massive chunk of their evening, if you follow me.
Yeah, I must be honest, I remember really stopping watching them when they went up to about 40, 45 minutes. They just really dragged. It's like, oh my God, how much longer can we talk about this one episode for? I just got bored.
But funnily enough, when I almost felt, because I was so young, but I remember feeling a bit insulted when there were only 15 minutes. Like, how dare you only let me have 15 minutes of this? So it's like I was never quite happy whether it was longer or shorter.
I think it depended on what the theme was that week.
That's true.
Maybe. Don't know.
Yeah,
and it desperate.
You could tell some weeks, God love them, they couldn't get a lot of the proper people to come and talk.
Yeah.
It was like one week you get a Russell, you get a Tennant, you'd get some of the guest stars. Another week it's like, here's the third production assistant. You couldn't get people this week, could you?
That's it. Here's the guy from the CAF.
Yeah, it was something like that.
And we're going to talk to him for 40 minutes.
Actually, seriously, though, we're laughing, but I seem to remember there was a big thing about the Doctor Who canteen. Now you've said that, I'm sure there was an episode about it.
I think the thing is, to me, when Doctor Who Confidential was at its peak, was when it was just doing different things with every episode. So, for example, I think the episode maybe you're talking, there was that one episode, Dan, where didn't David Tennant just go rounds Television Central? What was that?
Oh, yeah, that was the one that David Tennant put together himself, where he went around Television Centre tracing where classic episodes had been made. Was it?
Something like that. And so it basically felt that Confidential could do different things each week. Whereas, as I say, by about the third series, it was just, okay, we're just going to see how they make a wig in this particular episode. It was just purely
the one that people talk about as being the very nadir was when Arthur Darvill and Karen Gillan went touring around some holiday island for 40 minutes with a video.
I can't even remember
nothing related to Doctor Who whatsoever, but absence does make the heart grow fonder. And obviously Doctor Who Confidential, there's a well of affection here in the live chat on YouTube, Rumble and Facebook here with people. I loved it. Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that? Why did they take it away from us? Well, that's the good news, Ian, because it is back, and this is not necessarily a surprise. There've been rumours about this for a very long time. It's back under a new name with a new logo as Doctor Who Unleashed, and this was confirmed yesterday. We've heard rumours about this for a very long time. We've talked about it on the show before. Doctor Who Unleashed will be available on BBC Three, as was Doctor Who Confidential and iPlayer from this November. It says here in the blurb, the new Access All Areas documentary show promises an unmissable insight into the world of Doctor Who. From the anniversary specials onwards, after every episode of the series, UK viewers can switch over to BBC Three or the iPlayer and watch the brand new host Stephen Powell take viewers on a journey, showing them just how our favourite series is made. So it doesn't sound like it's going to be a massive reinvention of the formula, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Jack, is your resident sort of younger person, do you think, is there a market? It's all right for us to get all nostalgic about this, but is there a market for this kind of television now? Is this timely?
Well, I mean, I'm nostalgic for it because I used to click the red button at the end of every single episode, even without my parents' permission. I used to just very eager and all that. But yeah, for me, I think there is certainly a market, and especially with a younger generation. There's always obviously a younger generation, and especially with younger fans, you want to inspire them, and the creative industry and the arts, you never know. You could end up inspiring the next I don't know, Steven Spielberg or Russell T Davies or whoever, to write a future episode of Doctor Who, and Doctor Who has essentially from the revival survived on fans. So I do believe there's always a market for something like this. And as you've all said very correctly, like half an hour is perfect. And as long as we know we're not spending half an hour discussing the design of Beat the Meep or something, and we're getting a variety, we're getting some interviews and some behind the scenes of epic moments, we're in for a good time.
It's fun. They've got to think of the general viewers. It's funny you should mention that, because we do have a quote here from Russell T Davies who says kind of what you've just said. He says, over the years, I meet so many people who are inspired to find careers in TV because of the behind-the-scenes material the BBC would show. And now it's back in the grand old tradition of Doctor Who Confidential, but in this brand new form, Unleashed. So
why is it called Unleashed? That sounds
why
like
was it called Confidential? I never really got why it was called
because
Confidential.
it was the Doctor theme, like confidential file.
Well, and also you've got to think behind the scenes, see things you shouldn't have seen. It was that idea of you get that peek.
Well, and I guess Unleashed
it's a little bit X-Files.
Unleashed is just talking about
Unleashed sounds like a stripper show at the theatres.
What kind of shows do you go to, Sarah?
Honestly, she really is not as sweet as she makes out, is she? She's not as innocent as we always would love us to think she is. That stripper show, though, that was a great night, that was, Sarah, wasn't it?
I have to say, I don't know why they've called it Doctor Who Unleashed either, because that makes it sound like it's something that's running wild, Simon, that's something that's out of control and is being left to sort of to run ragged, I suppose. I think it's a curious title, but it almost sounds like needless hyperbole, which they wouldn't do that, would they?
Surely not.
But the truth of the matter is, I think, as long as, like we've all said, as long as they sort of keep it fairly simple and let us see in an amusing way, we don't need to see literally everything, do we? But if they find new angles, I don't see any reason why this couldn't be a success all over again. You're not going to get the millions watching it that are watching the main show. Obviously, there's a reason why it's on BBC Three, but there's obviously a market for this stuff, and I'm really happy to see it back. I think Stephen Powell, this guy who I've got to be honest, I've never heard of this chap. He's there with David Tennant there. I'm not sure. One of them's got a whoopee cushion, maybe. I think so. Something's very funny. God, David Tennant's wearing a lot of makeup there. He looks like he's wearing lipstick. That's very disconcerting. Stephen Powell, though, I have no idea who this fella is. You mentioned earlier on, Shah, the voiceovers we used to get on Confidential. Do you remember some of the actors that used to do that?
Yeah, Simon Pegg did it. Yeah, and Anthony Stewart Head. I loved it when Anthony Stewart Head did it, though. I thought that was great. But I just love him anyway, so I'm probably a little bit biased.
Yeah. Who else did it?
That's what's interesting, because obviously, like, it's saying it's a documentary type show, and it's got a host, so that is
weird.
Quite different.
Oh yeah, that's a good. I never thought of that. Yeah, good nice one, Charlotte. Yeah.
So just that bit of the format is showing that they are trying something new with this. If they've just because I don't know if it's going to work the same for me. We'll have to wait until we see it to have actually a host, actually have somebody stood there talking.
Because the last thing we had was like the Doctor Who fan show that I didn't get on with at all because Crystal D was really irritating. So I hope this guy is not irritating.
That's what I'm thinking, Starry. Like, this guy's going to have to be incredibly likable. Because he's going to be almost the view or the lens we see it through.
Because it seems to me, Charlotte, he's not going to be a voiceover. This guy's going to be on camera. And so we've got to like him. Tony L here says that the presenter of the new show is very good. He did a video game podcast for the BBC.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but it's like you said, Dan, a voiceover, you can almost detach yourself a bit from that and just concentrate.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
On what you see. Whereas he's going to have to be really, I hope he could be brilliant. I've not seen him. And I think it will be interesting to see how it works.
Who is he?
Don't know.
He's just a presenter. He's a presenter. Doesn't he do? Yeah, he does something digital.
Yeah, so that's right. So We're told in the press release here he's a familiar voice to millions following his work on BBC Radio 1 Newsbeat. Now, that is their kind of news bulletin. It's a bit like News Round, isn't it? No, he reads the news and does items like that. So he became BBC News' first ever gaming and culture correspondent in 2021. And he's often seen across BBC News programmes, the bulletins and things, talking about gaming and that side to culture. He presented the proms from the Royal Albert Hall and was a member of the BBC radio presentation team that covered the King's coronation back in April, May, wasn't it? And he's on BBC Radio 5 Live.
What's his name?
So he's done plenty of stuff. Stephen Powell.
So obviously they're trying to cater for the young uns then and the kids.
Yeah,
and he's Welsh. Yeah. He's a Welsh guy, so they've got the regional accent that the BBC loves those so much, doesn't it? In case you're wondering, yeah.
Cool.
It's very much part of it. So this is the guy, yeah. And actually, Charlotte, the more I think about your point, the idea of a almost distended voice that we might think we recognise from other things, but can't put a face to it. I think you're right. I think this is not necessarily a big swing, but if we don't like him or the audience don't like him, then they may not tune in for the show. So they must be very, very confident in this guy. I suppose we'll have to wait and see when it all starts. When it all starts. So how do you feel about this? Is this the kind of thing that you would watch, Ian? Because obviously there's not much you don't know about what goes into making TV and film. Or do you find these kinds of things amusing too? You think it's all quite of value to people who've got a passing interest?
I think I did enjoy Confidential, but it did go off the rails, didn't it? As it went on, and when they didn't have anything to talk about or anything like that. But I did like seeing, because I was really into Chris Eccleston's Doctor Who and David Tennant, so I did love seeing behind the scenes and how they did this and how they did that. But I don't know, new audience today, will they be interested in this?
We'll find out.
I mean, to be honest, obviously, it won't surprise anybody to find out that my favourite bits in the first series of Confidential was when they interviewed people from the classic show. You know, you got Peter Davison, Colin Baker, Sylvester McCoy. Now, it would be perfect in the 60th anniversary year to do some of that. To let's talk about the classic show. Why let have this purely about the making of the episode that you've just watched? What they did, I used to think they did it very, very cleverly, because in that first year, they would take a theme, wouldn't they? Either the companions or the monster or the TARDIS or visits to planets. And I loved that. And then they would, as a result, they would interview people from the classic run about their monsters or their companions or their travels in the TARDIS. And I just thought that was a really clever way of doing it. And was a nice way of just hooking it in to remind viewers that they were watching a continuation of a long-running series here. And so, as I said, the 60th anniversary year seems the perfect opportunity. I feel we should be looking back as well as talking about what as the episode that we've just watched. Let's hook it into the past as well.
There's no reason why that recipe can't work again, is there, Charlotte? Go on, what were you going to say?
That's all right. All I was going to say is I just want the Five-ish Doctors Part 2. I really that Peter's got his pen and paper out to be writing that, because I loved it so much.
Well, I think we covered this a couple of months ago. He has written it. They just wouldn't commission it. They shot it down in flames, didn't they, Ian?
Yeah, they
did. The Six-ish Doctors?
Because he was being a bit...
It wasn't PC enough, was it?
Yeah, exactly.
No, it wasn't just that. You go back and watch the video. We talked about it by all means. But he deliberately...
He had some jokes in there.
Yeah, he deliberately targeted woke culture and took the piss out of the BBC's Equality and Diversity Charter and all kinds of things. But actually, no, not took the piss, poked fun, I think it would be more fair to say.
Yeah, that's what he said. Yeah. That's what he said. And that's the thing
Pete Davidson always does.
Yeah, exactly. And it is poking fun, and why they wouldn't allow that obviously is a mystery to me, but there you go. That's the BBC for you, isn't it?
Okay, I wish I hadn't brought it up, sorry.
No, well, we've got people in the live chat are generally speaking quite happy to see Doctor Who Confidential back, and it has gone down very well on social media too. He looks personable, says Vanessa Law about Stephen Powell, the new host of Doctor Who Unleashed. Well, why it's called Unleashed, we have absolutely no idea.
Sounds like a horror film.
That's not a prediction.
Raymond Williams says it won't make any difference if the show sucks. Well, no, of course it would.
true.
But they're not
That's
working
true.
from
We're
that
not
principle,
thinking
are
like
they?
that, though, Raymond.
No, that's true.
Not thinking like that.
Carol G says, I wish Chris Hardwick was somewhere involved. Who's Chris Hardwick?
Don't know.
Tell us all.
No, I don't know that one. What else have we got? Did he play Hogwarts Legacy though? You're talking about Stephen Powell. You have to ask Stephen Powell. Isn't that like
I need to go, folks.
one of the biggest games of all time?
Yes.
Okay, Charlotte, thank you for your
Good
company.
night.
as always.
already.
We'll catch you next week.
No.
See you next week.
Bye bye. See you when we're a week closer. Yeah, you could say you want to ask Stefan any questions about gaming. Get in touch. Get in touch with him. Absolutely.
I think we should be involved with Doctor Unleashed. That's what they want.
I want to be the host. We should be the host.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right, Shy. They could
Could you imagine us lot running around the corridors at BBC? That'd be amazing.
Yes, and I genuinely think we'd be sacked. Well, Sarah and I anyway, from the first time because we'd just be causing havoc. So yeah, but it would be great.
Throw it out there. Should we throw a challenge?
Yeah, exactly.
Let us get on a Doctor Who Unleashed.
Well,
and we love the title, don't we, everybody? We love the title.
I'll never say anything about the title.
I would never say a bad word about that title, thank you.
We do know that members of the last production team were viewers of Type 40 Live. I don't know where we stand with Bad Wolf, but maybe if you're out there, Bad Wolf, give us a nod. Raymond Williams needs... Oh, Raymond, cheer up. It's not that important. Fans will watch Unleashed, but the general public won't.
I think they will.
I disagree.
I think they will with. Sorry, Dan, just took you there. I think they definitely will for the 60th, and people will watch David Tennant in anything. It could be David Tennant sat on the toilet reading a phone book, whatever. They will watch David Tennant. So yeah, I think. Yeah.
I mean, Sarah, there's a reason why this isn't on. There's a reason why this show isn't on BBC One in prime time at 8 o'clock. There's a reason why it's on a minority channel. They've got different expectations of this than they would have of a multi-million-pound flagship drama.
I think he I think he's got a bit of a point, really. I mean, the people will watch the David Tennant thing, but ordinary folk like my brother, he wouldn't be bothered about the confidential thing. He'd watch the show, but he won't be bothered about.
There will be a big chunk of, because millions. A good chunk of people did watch Confidential more than to write it off as just fans. But Jack's point about when we were talking about how could times have changed now, we simply don't know.
Exactly.
If they love the show,
it was only a few 100,000 used to watch Confidential, wasn't it?
I think so.
Millions.
Oh, was it when it first started?
I mean, it was
millions.
When it first started.
I mean, obviously, it wasn't as wasn't getting like 13 million or whatever, but it was still getting.
But I think the thing about when Russell T first came back, Russell T had us, which was the original fans, and we were younger then, and they had the new fans, because after the first episode of Chris Eccleston's episode, the new fans kind of stuck with it. They thought this was a great show, and they stuck with it, didn't they? So he had the best of both worlds, but as it stands now, I don't know what he's got now. You know what I mean? Because of obviously what happened in the past. So I don't know whether this is going to work. I don't know whether people are going to be interested in it Confidential. We're dealing with a different audience here, different people, different generations. So we'll see, right? We'll see.
Got an answer here from Carol who says Chris Hardwick, someone Americans know, created the Nerdist website and hosted Talking Dead and Midnight in the late noughties. Great interview with him and Tennant on the Internet Archive from 2011. I do know, I know who you mean now. Yeah, I get he's quite irritating. He achieved quite a lot if it's the guy I think it is. And I find him quite irritating, but he's one of those people who's always very, very enthusiastic, and I can't knock anybody for that. Who I think he did a lot of convention panels and things like that. Jack, when he'd get on stage and chat to them and things like that, he was quite adept at that kind of thing from what I remember. If this panel hosted Unleashed, it would be excellent. Thank you, Timescales.
Of course it would, Greg. Thank you.
We agree. Chris Hardwick is an American presenter who did cons, and so he's done that kind of content before, those kind of programs.
Oh, I think I know who it is now. Okay, yeah.
Find the next Chris Hardwick. Maybe they have in Stephen Powell. Time Lord 2023 says, what do you say? Russell knows what's right for the show as he's brought back the best show in the world, and the Unleashed behind the scenes thing they are doing. They are behind the idea and the show in the future. Well, all we can hope is that the thing is, it might not. The fact is, it might not work. Not all of this might not work. But the fact that they're saying, okay, we're going to put this in place, that in place, and support it with that, these, and those. I don't think we can at least accuse them of going in half measures on this. Yeah. And I think that's what's important, Jack, that they do what they do in a steady way. They don't want to bamboozle the audience, but do it with conviction. Doctor Who is back and leave people in no doubt. What's your take?
Of course. Yeah, and obviously, Russell and the entire production team want to win back fans, so instead of just, slowly oozing us out with content, I guess as well, that's the benefit of like Series 15 beginning filming now and stuff. Yeah. You've just got to kind of grab it with both hands and just do it, just bring us all back,
Absolutely. I'm kind of disappointed though, slightly like Simon, kind of disappointed that he didn't try something new. He's gone back to the well. He's gone back to David Tennant. He's gone back to Catherine Tate. He's literally recreating what he did when he originally started. He's just got that old feel,
As a starting point for a 3-hour 60th anniversary miniseries, we have to say there is loads that we don't know. We've seen 2 minutes of 180 minutes worth of content. They've kept so much from us. We know other people who are involved in this. So if he was going to do an entire series 14 with David Tennant and Catherine Tate, I think that would hold a lot more water. But given the fact that this, and I can see why people are forgetting that it is supposed to be a TV event. It is for the anniversary, but we've got to sort of pull that back into our sight. And you see what I'm saying, Shah?
Yeah, sorry. I think there might be a delay. I feel like I'm talking over people. I'm really sorry.
No.
I feel like just right now is not the time to take risks with something new. No. If I'm being honest, it's way too fragile, in my humble opinion. And so I feel like he's made the right decision. Because I understand when people are saying, but why them? Why him? Because it worked. It is a business, and that is what you need to do. You can't take a risk with something new right now. So I think it's the right. Yeah, I think exactly.
And to add on to that show, it's also is building on what the audience wants. I mean, the response to those Twitter watch-alongs during lockdown were absolutely unprecedented. Nobody knew how much that was going to blow up. Nobody knew how much that was going to work, how much people enjoyed it. And obviously that was what sowed the seeds. And it's just the perfect excuse to use Catherine and David again in an anniversary special, because otherwise there is no real way of getting them in. And like you say, if it was another series with them, that definitely would be a step backwards. But I just think he saw an excuse to get them in. They obviously wanted to work together again, and they missed it. But I think it's just because the nostalgia was there and that warm reception to everybody.
Well, look at how much it's taken off. It just shows, doesn't it, that it wasn't the wrong decision, and that he's made a really smart move there. Personally,
I think it's a smart move, but for obvious reasons, obviously. He wants to ease them into this new Doctor. So this is and obviously to kind of push the other one aside. So obviously he's pushing the other one aside. But I'm looking forward to it. I think the trailer looks good. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing David Tennant gurn a lot. And that's what he does. That's what he does. He gurns a lot and he shouts a lot. And it's and hopefully it'll be fun. And he'll ease us into Shooty's Doctor, which hopefully Shooty's Doctor would be good. But I don't know.
But also, it gives Shooty's Doctor a chance, because I'm not being funny, but if there was no David Tennant and it had gone from Jodie to Shooty, you've still got only half of the fan base. Even less than half. So this is giving him the best possible chance by getting more fans back. And, it still might not work. We don't know.
Yeah,
it's very much a palate cleanser for
Yeah,
anybody with
that's
any discerning taste.
Reboot to be fair.
Yes.
Honestly, Jack, I believe that's
We
absolutely
didn't want to go down that road. Let's not go down that road.
The first episode of Doctor Who Unleashed will be available on BBC Three, it says here, and iPlayer right after the first 60th anniversary special, The Star Beast, which airs. They've still got just on BBC One in November. We believe we may have found out or closed in on where that may be. There's no word yet on whether this programme, Doctor Who Unleashed, will also be available to stream on Disney Plus, because it's made by a different team. So it's by Bright Branch Media who are producing this, not Disney Plus and not Sony. So we don't know whether this is going to make its way abroad. I suppose we'll get some answer on that sooner or later. Another thing we'd like an answer on, though, is from you guys out there in the comments section. Let us know what you think this means. Doctor Who Unleashed. Do you like the title? What on earth does it mean? What has been unleashed? Are you feeling it? And will you be watching it? And what do you think the general public will make of this, of dialing right back to 2005 and the recipe that they achieved success with for this sort of strategy of making sure that Doctor Who becomes a fixture in people's viewing habits again? Let us know in the comment section. We really want to know. And while you're doing it, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cloister bell to get the notifications about what we're doing next and when it is we're doing it.
Go on then.
You're watching Type 40.
Love it.
One more thing, don't go anywhere yet. Yeah, we're back again, back for more with a quick scan at the view screen. Our regular eye into the temporal schism, Shah, in search of the prettiest pictures from out there in the Whoviverse. Our eye across the fan art and the fan craft world to see what's bobbed up to catch our eyes. Yeah, can't wait to see what we're going to get stuck into. I can't remember what we put in this folder last. Yes, if you are a fan artist, or you know a fan artist you think should be on our radar for the gallery section, send them our way. Tell us where we can find them in the comments section. Please do. And just or contact them and say, get in touch with these guys. Tell them that Type 40 is looking for them. We've got some great pictures, some prettiest of pictures here, a lot of them to mark the 60th anniversary year of Doctor Who. We're going to keep going on and on about that. Of course we are. And yet this one, we've been reached out to by a fan artist too out there, a regular viewer, and this is Nerd Cult 77's work. So they have been inspired by the emergence of the 14th Doctor and created this. So this is Simon Bartlett, who calls himself Nerd Cult 77, and he's created this.
Epic. Oh, wow.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, lovely.
Can you see, Sarah? We've got. You just make out the toy maker behind him, and beat the meep in the vortex, and then there's all those wraith guards there from the Star Beast, all with their eyes bright red.
Oh, they look great.
That works so well.
I love the way Beat the Meep. He's just down there at the bottom left.
Where? Oh my god!
That's really clever.
looking slightly startled. Fantastic, says Crimpling Doubloon in the live chat, watching on YouTube. Those eyes, says Peter Harrington.
Yeah.
And pretty pictures. Yeah, people love the pretty pictures. Of course they do. That's good.
The toy maker looks so scary in the background. That's great.
Malevolent,
beautiful.
Just the word,
Simon has adapted this as well because he loves comic books. So he's adapted this into a comic book cover there in the mold of the old Titan books that they used to do.
That's insane.
I'd buy that, Simon.
I'd buy that
100%. Smashing jobs on.
Yeah.
He's added, if you look at the top there, Jack, it says the 14th Doctor Adventures, and then along the left-hand side, he's put Russell T Davies, Rachel Talalay, who is the directors. I think they're all three of the directors of the three specials there. So it's a nice touch. Obviously, a big comic book fan. Are you a comics reader, Jack?
Yes, I am. Not as much as I used to, because I do find comics these days, especially Doctor Who comics, they're lacking a bit of
Yeah.
Uniqueness.
I'll save you blushes. They're shit. They have been for a while. Titan have really taken their eye off the ball with this license. So I am hoping that something beautiful happens with the range soon. Somebody else gets given the license now because Titan are really asleep at the wheel with it. I'd frame that, says Gary Browser.
I think I would. Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah, that's something I'd get signed at a convention, to be fair.
Yes,
Lee Sullivan's type style, says Matthew Pounder. The Meep almost got past the timescales too. And it's Tony L would also buy that. So this is a big hit, Simon, out there. If you're watching, I think he watches on catch up when he can't be here live. So that's gone down really, really well. I'm also a big fan of this. I consider this to be a personal gift from Ian's cartoons to me. Ian, this is can anybody?
No.
Go on, Sarah. What's this? What are we looking at?
It's the ghost stuff. Bannerman.
Yes, this is Ian's cartoons. We feature Ian's work on the show quite regularly, and this is one that he's done just this week. So that's a Shimmerin guard and the bounty hunter, the Teddy Boy bounty hunter, there from the classic Doctor Who story from 1987, Delta and the Bannermen by Malcolm Cole. I'm quite fond of it, but I don't like to talk about it.
Brian Hibbert, a bounty hunter.
Brian Hibbert played the bounty hunter, didn't he, in the blue suede shoes? The late Brian Hibbert of the Flying Pickets, and there he is immortalised in blue with an orange background. Ian, are you moved by this? You just look speechless, mate.
That's it. It's a good cartoon, but the episode is not.
What?
Dan will not accept blasphemy about Delta and the Bannermen.
Thank you, Gary Akers, watching there in the live chat. He agrees with me. He loves Delta and the Bannermen. And people love the cartoon too. I love it. Will said too. Will says brilliant. Pass it on to Ian's cartoons.
Hello, Will.
It's very, very active over on Twitter. Lots of brilliance. Yes, Tony L says brilliant, and he's over on Twitter. So please go and say hello to Ian's cartoons and tell him that Type 40 sent you as well. Yes, it's a personal gift for me. I'd probably get that put on a greetings card or something like that. Yes, earlier on we talked about the TARDIS. Of course, we talk about the TARDIS all the time, don't we? And I think that who was it who had the box set? Ian, you had the box set. So you'd got that beautiful wraparound artwork there. That's always by Lee Binding, the digital artist Lee Binding. Impeccably done artwork. And he also bangs out the odd bit of fan art too. In this piece, he imagines, Simon, an episode, an adventure, an encounter from the classic show that we never got to see on screen. What if the Fourth Doctor came face to fin with the Sea Devils?
Wow.
Oh, I love that.
Wow,
I love that.
I hope he's got a mop handy.
Why did that never happen?
Yeah, why didn't it ever happen? You still wonder why they haven't used the Sea Devils more throughout the run of the show. I mean, I just still think they're up there, as one of the absolute best monsters. They just terrified me as a 3-year-old, and so you just think, why didn't they? Why didn't they use them more? That's great. Love that piece of artwork.
Particularly opposite Tom's Doctor. There's something. There's just something about it, isn't there, Shaw? What do you think?
Oh, that is stunning. I absolutely love it. But seeing as RTD's bringing back some old guys, you never know. Who knows? But yeah, that's beautiful. Especially, I don't know why, but I absolutely love the Sea Devil that's just hanging outside the door, supervising the other ones to make sure they're getting the job done.
I love the sparks flying and
yeah. Oh, it's wonderful.
Water and electricity should never be mixed. What's up with
them? They're building me through the roof.
It's the kind of thing that Ozzy Osbourne used to do on stage, isn't it? Take a whiz over an amp and hope for the best. Hope you survive.
I like Gary Browser's comment. TARDIS on a rinse cycle.
Good stuff, Gary. Daryl Joyce is in the live chat too on YouTube.
Hello, Daryl.
Daryl Joyce, the author, the author, the artist behind the Illustrated Journey. Fantastic new hardback book from Telos Books. Good to have you in the live chat, Daryl. Just one of the best Doctor Who artists, one of the best artists, full stop. In fact, let's get Simon's. Hang on, where are you, Simon?
Here I am. Look, it's here. There it is. Daryl Joyce. And if anybody, we are going to. The hope is that we're going to do a chat with a full interview with Daryl Joyce. And if you haven't seen this book yet, it's just stunning. You are in for a treat. Look, I've just opened it at this page. You've got Invasion of the Dinosaurs. These brand new illustrations of Invasion.
Oh, look at that!
Wow.
Daryl, if you're out there, mate, review copy.
Look at the horror of Fangrok. Just look at that.
Blimey.
That's spectacular.
It's basically got a piece of artwork for every single story. Oh look, I mean, I've just opened it at Terror of the Zygons. I mean, just look at Terror of the Zygons.
This is so chilling, very chilling stuff. There you go. We've embarrassed him now. But if he's still there, if we're embarrassed, because he seems like quite a shy man, quite a softly spoken man. So I hope
it's the most. Seriously, I'm not kidding. It's the most stunning Doctor Who book I've ever seen. Look at the spot varnish. You can just about make out a spot varnish on the TARDIS there, catching the light. It's just magnificent. It's beautiful, beautiful.
And the reviews, I understand, in all seriousness, the reviews for this have been pretty stellar. So congratulations, Daryl, on the reception to your book. I know you've been working on it for a very long time. I'd love to find out exactly how long. So please come and talk to us. We should, Darren Bradley says, going back to the Sea Devils, we should use that pick for the next loo break. Dear. I'm pretty sure the Sea Devils would be more horrifying in the early Tom Baker years. Yeah, they probably would. I think Hinchcliffe would have had a lot of fun with these characters.
Actually, it would be a Hinchcliffe story, wouldn't it, if it was going to be Sea Devils?
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. Time Lord 2023 says, I would call the episode The Secret of the Sea Devils if it involved the fourth Doctor and the Sea Devils. What's the secret? Help us write this piece of fanfic. Let us know what you think the secret of the Sea Devils could be. Let us know in the comments section and fill in the gap for Time Lord 2023 there. Brilliant stuff. I want that book, says the Sodor Engines.
Trust me. Listen, all you got to do is you've got to go to Telos. Go to Telos Books. That's where they're selling it.
I'm doing that.
Seriously, I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's incredible. It's the most beautiful coffee table book you've ever seen in your life.
Fabulous stuff. Yes. So again, if you're a fan artist or you know a fan artists, whether they're traditional artists like Ian's cartoons or digital artists like Lee Binding, the fantastic Lee Binding, or maybe they do a bit of both, like our friend Daryl Joyce there in the live chat, consummate artist and all-rounder, whoever they are and wherever they put it up, whoever they are, yes, tell us where to find them, where to find their work, and we'll bring them.
What was that, Dan? Tell us. Did you just say tell us? Tell us.
What he did there.
Oh dear, oh dear. Yes, we want to see. Basically, we're happy to showcase all fan art of any kind and give you our honest opinions, and let the live chat there get a load of it too. Get an eyeful. That's what it's all about. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the cloister bell to get the notifications, share us along. We're wrapping up now. What a fabulous show. I know you probably can't believe how brilliant it's been, how much ground we've covered, how many laughs we've had, and Shah's still laughing. So you're going to want to share this along to the other Whovians and Hoonatics in your life, whoever they are from all over the world, all the Doctor Who fans everywhere. We say hello to all of them, and share this video and spread the word. We'd greatly appreciate it as we approach the 60th anniversary, and we get limbered up with more live streams. Type 40 Live twice a week at the moment, and more podcasts coming your way too. Let's get some more plugs in before we shoot. So yes, you may well shake your head, young woman, but what's this all about?
I did not. Oh, thank you. That's really sweet of you. If I may take a minute, thank you so much, everyone that has liked, watched, commented, and the subscriptions I've been getting. It's been lovely to sort of come back and have a good response. I didn't think anyone would watch it, so yeah, thank you so much. And what I'm doing at the moment, I think my most viewed video ever was like 2,000 or something like that. So if we're at 1.6 So if you could be so kind to sort of bring that up a little bit, that would be amazing. But yeah, and have your eardrums burst as well, because I was a little bit excited, I think we'll say. Yeah, so really, really happy about that. And it's just made me want to do more now. So I'm well into the swing of things. I've got a new one coming up that should be released on Sunday, sorry. So hopefully that'll be a good one too. But yeah, keep your eyes out. But thank you for that, Dan. That was really kind of you. Cheers.
Boost the signal. Get the Shardis through whilst you're at it. What does Shardis stand for? We're going to need to know that by the end of the year. Arrive at some sort of conclusion. I think that would be pretty cool. But you've also been recording as well, haven't you, Jack? You've got a couple of podcasts to come in the next 2 or 3 days. So who are your guests? And I know you can't tell us what you've talked about because that would spoil it, wouldn't it? But who have you been talking to and when are they going to drop? What can we look forward to?
Well, I've been recording with a variety of people. I mean, today I released the episode with Adam Martin. It was really nice.
We love Adam.
He's coming back on the show in a couple of weeks.
Oh, is he? Oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I was talking to him about, all things Doctor Who, his work with Big Finish, how that came about, and what it was like working with Christopher Eccleston. And tomorrow, speaking of the Shardis, that episode will be releasing in the wild, which will be really exciting. That was a lot of fun.
The wild's going to get even wilder when.
Yeah, bring all the new definitions to wilderness years, really. But yeah, no, it's really fun, and yeah,
I had a great time. It was actually what I think it was rather civilized, but yeah. No, thanks for having me again, Jack. It was wicked. Loved it.
No problem, anytime.
And where can people find you on social media, Jack? Just to give them your details.
Well,
again.
Twitter is my handle that's here at NerdDenReal, and then YouTube, just NerdDen. You'll see me there releasing Doctor Who videos such as podcasts, news, theories, all of that Doctor Who shenanigans. So yeah,
brilliant! Oh, I can't wait to watch.
As always,
I can't either. To remind myself what was said.
Lots of people leaving comments as well. Let's have one last look in the live chat before we tinkle off, shall we? Yeah.
The Cyber King approaches. Your lives are in peril. The only way to save yourselves: watch Type 40.
I hadn't seen that one yet. She was fab, wasn't she?
She was great.
Lovely.
What a production.
Warm, and she was just professional the entire time. Never saw her complain once.
Yeah, it's great.
In character the whole time, wasn't she? Lots of people are loving it, and thank you, great stream, guys. Thank you, Ezra, and even more people love Daryl's book, Daryl Joyce's book, there, the illustrated journey from Telos Books. Yeah, go and get that into your life. Go and place your order, and look for Daryl. Hopefully, he'll come and have a chat to us pretty soon. Thank you for all your likes. I think we've got quite a lot of likes, subscriptions. And don't forget to hit the cloister bell to get all the notifications about what we're doing next and when we're doing it. If you need a pointer, head over to our social medias, Instagram and Twitter at Type 40 Doctor Who to get all that as the week goes on. So we share our links, we get them out there, we repost them, not retweet them. It's all reposting now, isn't it? On X, get all that, and you can share them along too. Give them a bit of an amplify for us, and you can join us again if you don't think that you've had enough of us this time. Go and find us on Facebook in the Type 40 Facebook group, along with regenerations worth upon regenerations worth of Doctor Who fans of the classic show, fans of new Doctor Who from right the way back in 2005 when we talked about that at the top of the show, didn't we? And everybody looking forward. Generally, I think people are looking forward with their fingers crossed, albeit for all new Doctor Who that's coming in a few weeks' time. It's all starting. This is how it's going to be at long last. Ian, fantastic to have you back on the show this week, mate.
Great.
You sound a bit more enthusiastic, man.
Obviously, but we've been keeping you from your season 20 box set, haven't we? So when you do open it, are you going to go straight for the 5 Doctors? Or are you going to work your way through? What are you going to do?
Actually, I'm going to go straight for the 5 Doctors. It's the 40th anniversary, and to tell you the truth, I'm not really a fan of Peter
Davis,
but I wasn't really a fan. So I'm gonna watch it again and see if I I've mistaken
I know.
not being a fan. Do you know what I mean? So I just want to watch all of this again to see if my mind wasn't in the right
I
space.
can't believe what I'm hearing.
I tell you what,
But-
you know what, Ian, I
Neither can I.
totally agree with you. I was the same. Sorry, Simon.
It's all right.
But tell you what, I've been working my way through it. I've just
Yeah.
finished watching Terminus,
Right.
and
Sorry.
he's great now. See, I liked it. Well, I liked a lot of it. They weren't bothered about the Gorm, but I liked it. But wait,
Oh, Terminus is interminable. It really is dreadful.
yeah, it's I am reappraising things.
Yeah,
So, that'll be interesting to.
I might even
to discuss
go back to Sylvester McCoy. You never know.
You
You know,
never
after
know.
watching this,
You
if I
never
think to myself,
know.
what did I miss? The first time I watched it, I thought it was okay. Now I think it's brilliant, so I might go back to Sylvester McCoy and let's see how that plays out. Do you know what I mean? But yeah.
Sorry, Carol Jude just put breaking. We've got 3 music exclusives at the 60th anniversary concert. The new theme, the 15th Doctor's theme, and Ruby Sunday's theme.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Fabulous. So that is going on as we've been live streaming. We've got several people who are there actually in the room when all this is happening, and some of them have reached out to me. So
Brilliant.
we'll have a little bit more for the next Type 40 Live. There'll be some exclusives. Maybe there'll be some sort of video to go with that. They'll put out on social media.
Hopefully.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be really nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, well,
I think.
it's
Is that
due
what?
on the radio. Yeah, it's coming.
is it?
We have covered it. Yeah, it's due on BBC Radio 2 in a few weeks' time.
Oh, cool.
And they may be keeping something else, holding something else back as well. So I suppose we'll have to just wait patiently, won't we? A bit like Ian with his box set. So yeah, you can bet, Ian, that we'll be talking some more about that over the next few weeks and going back. How can we not go back to the 5 Doctors too? So you're not going to want to miss that out there, are you? So yeah, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cloister bell for all the videos, the live streams, and the podcasts coming your way. More reviews on the podcast coming, actually, with myself, Sarah, and Stephen Noonan on the next one, looking at the new series this time.
We were, yes.
You're gonna
Very
like
excited
that.
about this one, yes.
And still to come is our panel episode 2 from Hooverville in Derby a few weeks ago. That's coming as a podcast and a video as well for everybody to enjoy all over again. If you weren't there on the day, we had a good chunk of people, Simon, but lots of people are going to get to hear it when it's actually out there, aren't they? Thanks again for your company, Jack. Great to have you aboard.
No problem. Anytime.
Sure, I'm glad that you could eventually materialise with us.
I'm just on a slow speed, I think. Yeah, in both ways, to be quite honest. So I'm always glad to be here, and I love it when I actually can make it, which is a rarity, but maybe not anymore. Who knows? So excited to come back. Yeah, watch this space, exactly.
Absolutely, the 60th anniversary is the ideal time to go excel, I think. Simon, Sarah, as always, thank you for your company. I know you've both had busy weeks. Who knows where we're going to be this time next week? They're going to give us more treats, more announcements, all for the 60th anniversary. More fantastic. Sounds like we're going to get some music. Maybe we'll get some more imagery. Who knows? But that's it for this week here on Type 40 Live. We always have the time if you have the space. We'll speak to you on the next one. Enjoy your weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.